Chapter 1060. Thus, Li Longji first said to the owner of the store, "I agree. You can follow behind me, or I can pay for you to go anywhere to see the local noodles." What's the point of wasting time? Follow me later, and I'll bring you to see Xiao Bao. Haha, Xiao Bao is very knowledgeable when it comes to cooking. I believe your cooking skills are far inferior to his. You haven't seen the noodles that Xiao Bao makes for his brothers and sisters. There are all kinds of noodles. Have you ever seen dragon whisker noodles with fillings in the middle? The owner of the store shook his head vigorously. Your Majesty, what is dragon whisker noodles? Noodles? Can there be fillings in the middle? Dragon whisker noodles are very thin noodles with fillings in the middle. Xiao Bao made it for Xiao Bei and the others by hand. He made it for the whole morning, and each of them could only eat a bowl at noon. Xiao Bao was very tired. He kept mumbling that technology was productivity. Haha. Li Longji recalled Zhang Xiaobao's appearance at that time and laughed heartily. The owner of the store was confused. How is that possible? Hearing the name and hearing that it was very thin noodles, he could imagine how thin the noodles were. How could there be fillings in the noodles? Unless Xiao Bao wasn't human, how could there be fillings in the noodles? However, since the emperor said there was, he naturally wouldn't lie to him. As the owner of the store, he could also tell that it was very difficult to make the noodles. However, even if it was difficult for him, he wouldn't do it. Scratching his head, the owner of the store said embarrassedly, "Your Majesty, this commoner is going to see Xiao Bao. Will I disturb them?" Xiao Bao is busy with all kinds of matters in Great Tang. If this commoner causes any delay, this commoner won't be able to take the blame. He's not busy. He's only busy for a while. When there's something to do, both of them are busy. Right now, both of them are idle. Cuckoo has nothing to do, so she's embroidering. Xiao Bao is thinking about food. This emperor is with them almost every day. How can I not know? All right. After we eat the noodles, you can follow them. Just you. The waiter will stay. Li Longji acted as if he was chatting with someone of similar status and decided on the matter. The owner of the store was extremely excited. What kind of day was it today? First, he saw the emperor. Then he could see Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. Who would believe him? Things that he didn't even dare to dream about were Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. However, Wang Ju was not very happy. He felt uncomfortable when he heard other people call his grandson and granddaughter-in-law Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. How could people who were not close relatives call them by such names? But he was also very helpless. This was because everyone in the Great Tang, from the old men and women in their 80s to the children who were still learning how to speak, addressed them as such. The children would normally call Xiao Bao Big Brother and Cuckoo Big Sister, while the adults would simply call them by their surnames. They would never add surnames in front of their names, giving the impression that the two children had all sorts of surnames. Zhang Xiao Bao and Wang Wan must be respected. Wang Ju indignantly reminded the owner of the restaurant. The owner was shocked and did not dare to make a sound. However, Li Longji spoke. What Zhang Xiao Bao and Wang Wan? Even if they are Xiao Bao and Cuckoo, it is not up to you to say. You're the grandfather. Their own grandfather hasn't even said anything. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo are the Xiao Bao and Cuckoo of the Great Tang. Respect? Your name is Wang Ju. If you stand out now and let 10,000 people call you that, how many of them will respect you? You want others to call you Wang Ju, but will they pay attention to you? Just like that son-in-law of yours, Zhang Zhong, who will call him Minister Zhang. They all call him Provincial Governor Zhang and County Magistrate Zhang. I am envious. When will the people of the Great Tang be able to call me Emperor Longji? Yes, this official is too petty. Whenever I think of how close I am to them, I feel uncomfortable being called that, Wang Ju quickly said. He was also clear that the people of the Great Tang were calling him that because of a special closeness. Not just anyone would be willing to call him that. While they were talking, the shredded pork noodles were ready. In fact, it was already ready just now, but the chef did not dare to serve it. While they were talking, the waiter brought in a new tray. There were 3 bowls, one for Li Longji, one for Wang Ju, and one for Gao Lishur, who was still standing at the entrance. After beckoning Gao Lishur in, Li Longji picked up a new pair of chopsticks and started eating. There was no need for anyone to test it. The actions of the owner, the waiter, and the chef had already proven everything. When the owner of the store saw the emperor eating, he was very happy. He was not worried that the noodles would be bad. No matter how bad the chef's cooking was, the taste would not be too bad. After the emperor took a bite, he raised his head and said, "Actually, the seafood noodles here are more pure and are cheaper. Many people like to eat them. These noodles are edible. It's not that I am picky, but when you see Xiao Bao and eat his dishes, you will know why I said so. What do you think, Li Shi?" Li Longji took a bite and then lowered his head to continue eating. Fortunately, he asked for a small bowl. He really couldn't eat a big bowl. Along the way, he had only eaten Zhang Xiaobao's dishes. His appetite had long been developed. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to set an example of not wasting food, he would have stopped eating long ago. Gao Lishir naturally would not let others test whether the noodles were poisonous or not. After taking a bite, he said, "Your Majesty, this official feels that the noodles are not bad. It might have taken a little too long to cook. However, why is the shredded pork noodles fried? Why isn't it blanched? There is more of an oily taste. Also, the chopped green onions are cut from small onions instead of green onions. It lacks the unique sweetness of green onions. As for the noodles, they are ramen, not handmade noodles. They are not chewy enough." Li Longji's mouth was not idle. Wei Wei nodded in agreement. In the past, he really didn't think much about it. However, after he met Zhang Xiaobao, he could always see how Zhang Xiaobao cooked. When he casually asked about it, Zhang Xiaobao would give him an answer. Even though it was just a bowl of noodles, there was a lot to it. Wang Zhu didn't have the opportunity to eat Zhang Xiaobao's dishes. He felt that the noodles were pretty good. However, when he thought about the emperor's and Gao Lishir's comments, he was filled with yearning for the dishes that his grandson made. The owner of the store was stupefied. The emperor and that official were too good with their mouths, right? They could tell how the noodles were cooked the moment they ate them. It turned out that the flavor of stir-fried meat and blanched meat was very different. The 3 bowls of noodles were finished by the 3 of them. There was no waste, even though Li Longji and Gao Lishir didn't feel comfortable eating them. After calling the owner of the store, the group continued to walk toward Wang Zhu's residence. At this time, Li Longji didn't stop to test the commoners. He had heard the story of the boy who cried wolf from Xiaobei. If he really tested the commoners time and time again when there was danger, the commoners would treat it as a drill. That would be troublesome, because they were delayed by the noodles. By the time they arrived at the residence, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already taken a nap. Zhang Wang clan didn't come out to welcome them. They hid in another room to make small clothes for the unborn child. They didn't know how many children were in their bellies, so they had to make a few more sets. With the addition of the clothes made by Wang Wan, they believed that they would be able to use them. After entering the residence, Li Longji asked someone to find Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. As soon as the 2 of them entered, Li Longji said, "Xiaobao, we're eating noodles tonight. I want to eat shredded meat noodles. You make it. Why don't we eat seafood noodles?" Zhang Xiaobao asked Li Longji when he saw someone he didn't know looking at them excitedly. "Shredded meat noodles are delicious. This is the owner of a soup pancake shop. He wants to discuss the production of soup pancakes with you. You could talk to him later." Li Longji arranged some work for Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao didn't know what was going on, but since they were here to discuss, he would talk about it later. He couldn't reject them, so he nodded and said to Wang Zhu, "Grandfather, I have something to discuss with you." "What is it?" Wang Zhu was puzzled. "It's about the mulberry trees in Hangzhou. I've seen it. In addition to the gifts you gave me in Cuckoo, we still have a large mulberry forest on a mountain here. We use it to raise silkworms. However, the forest is too old, and the growth is deteriorating year by year. It doesn't seem worth using it. I think it's because of this that you didn't give the forest to me in Cuckoo. What I mean is that we should cut down all the trees and use the wood for other things. That way, we could get back some of the capital. Then, we can plant tea leaves on the trees and buy seedlings from other places. It will grow faster, and we can take care of it carefully. Next year, we will be able to produce tea leaves. As for the planting of tea leaves, I asked the people of the agriculture temple to follow up on it. It can be considered an experimental place. If it's good, we can spread it around. No matter how large the tea leaves in Hangzhou are, It's far from enough to satisfy the entire Tang Empire. In addition to this, I also specially designed some ways to eat tea leaves. We can eat them as dishes. You can provide them here, and we will be in charge of sales, or you can find someone to sell them. In addition to this, we also need to continue to raise silkworms and cicadas. I also have some recipes for cooking. You can open a restaurant, and we can only eat green silkworms. Nowadays, people don't eat them. In addition, we need to find people to pick the sea cabbages that no one touches by the seaside. We can make new dishes and can them and sell them everywhere. If there are a lot of rotten fish and shrimps by the seaside, don't leave them alone. Collect them. They are not for people to eat. After they are dried, add them to the feed of poultry to supplement their nutrition. That's all for now. I will draw an area in the northern part of Hebei province for our family to take over. Cut down other trees. Don't touch the old ones. Plant economic forests. Cut down and plant in a planned way to make products, such as sanitary chopsticks and paper, to increase our family's income. Zhang Xiaobao stopped talking and looked at Wang Wan. Wang Wan said, "What I mean is that since we don't have any land at home, we can go to the place where the Turks used to live and develop. Send a few people in charge to provide us with potato seedlings. The output will be very high if we plant them there. When we continue to fight, our family should also follow and see where's the best place. Anyway, it is a sparsely populated area. We can occupy it. When we develop it, even if the transportation cost is high, we can still make a certain amount of profit." Wang Ju listened to the conversation between the two of them and understood what they meant. They must have seen the gift she gave and knew that it would be hard for them to take out money. So they immediately thought of ways to earn money. Furthermore, they even divided it into several types of returns, depending on the length of the return period. The fastest returns were naturally this year's silkworm breeding and sea cabbage harvesting in the sea, followed by the processing of stinky fish and shrimps in a fodder, followed by next year's tea, followed by the planting of potatoes in the area originally occupied by the Turks, and then the economic forest in the north of Hebei province. When the war started, they would follow and get benefits. Thinking of a series of money-making things, Wang Ju was excited. She stood up and walked to Zhang Xiaobao, raised her hand and touched Zhang Xiaobao's head, and said, "Xiaobao, at that time, I didn't expect the development of potatoes to be so good. In fact, the best place is the north of Hebei province, where there's a black land, but the road is too difficult to travel. It is not as good as the land occupied by the Turks. Most of it is grassland, and then we transport it to Fengzhou and down the Yellow River. Whether it's eaten directly or made into starch and vermicelli, it's a good choice. The smelly fish and shrimps by the seaside can actually be cheated and made into shrimp sauce. You can't taste it, but I don't agree. It's better to make it into animal feed. The coastal area is suitable for this. If the domestic poultry are not eaten, the eggs will become soft, and some can't even stand up. Let's make it first. I will look for the green worms of silkworms in the next 2 days, and there should be some that have grown up. Then I will make it for you to taste, and you will know how it tastes." Zhang Xiaobao knew what Wang Ju wanted to say, but he couldn't let him say it. So, he directly took over the conversation and talked about other things. Wang Ju saw that Zhang Xiaobao deliberately did this, so he didn't say anything. It was good that he understood. He would wait until he went to the capital and met Zhang Zhong. He nodded. "Xiaobao, what do you think? Grandfather will listen to you. I believe my family will not object. How do you make the sea cabbage tasty?" "Of course it is to make salted cabbage with chili powder. It is not worth feeding it to the pigs and ducks. Dry it and send it to the mainland. It can help to replenish the iodine. I don't have the ability to add iodine to the salt now. Otherwise, I would add it. It can prevent big neck disease, but it can't be eaten if it is already infected." Zhang Xiaobao knew the effects of sea cabbage and sea intestines. People don't like to eat sea intestines now, but in the future, the price of sea intestines will be too high, and people will not be able to afford it. "Okay, I will listen to you." Wang Ju did not consider the feasibility of Zhang Xiaobao's words. Since it was Xiaobao who said it, how can it be wrong? Li Longji was also listening at the side. He smiled and said, "Xiaobao, when other people ask for potatoes from your family, you will reject them. But this time, you are actually giving them away? Wang Qing is an official, but are others not? Okay, let's all go there and plant potatoes. After we finish planting, we will sell the seedlings and earn money together. Zhang Xiaobao could not say anything else, so he could only compromise. At this time, Wang Ju asked again, Xiaobao, will you plant a plant on the land I gave you? That is all good land. We're prepared to use a very high price to hire people to help us plant the crops. What we plant depends on what other people plant. If other people plant a lot of crops, we won't plant them. Your Majesty, this subject has a matter to discuss with you regarding the land of the great Tang. Zhang Xiaobao said. Chapter 1061. If Wang Ju had been an ordinary provincial governor, he would have retreated. Of course, if he had been an ordinary provincial governor, Zhang Xiaobao wouldn't have said anything. After all, he had once been the Minister of Revenue. This was how great Tang's officials were. They could be promoted and demoted. Unlike Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's era, officials would either be demoted to the very end, if they made too big of a mistake and there was no one above them, or if the people above them couldn't be protected, they would be removed from their post or even sentenced. The majority of officials wouldn't encounter such a situation. If someone protected them, they would destroy some evidence of their crimes and push the blame onto the officials below them. There were two kinds of situations. One was that they would be transferred to an important position and moved to a more leisurely place. The other was that they would be demoted and wait for the right time to come up. Comparing the two, Zhang Xiaobao felt that the Great Tang system was better. Officials didn't have any thoughts of being lucky. Even if they didn't have a good position, they could still get a position of equal status. As for the protection of officials, it could only be said that the leader didn't have enough authority. There was a problem with the entire system, indirectly promoting the corruption of officials. Li Longji, Gao Lishur, and Li Longji didn't know what Zhang Xiaobao was thinking. The three of them only knew that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had just pushed for the adjustment of the Great Tang's tax rates, and it hadn't been fully implemented yet. They were in the middle of negotiations with the various great clans. To be more precise, they were exchanging benefits. They were waiting for the important figures to agree before bringing it to the table. At that time, they wouldn't have to worry about the opposition of others. Wang Ju had also been discussed with. Gao Lishur had previously sent a telegram to communicate with anyone whose family had a total wealth of 3 million strings of coins or more. Right now, the conditions that could be brought out in exchange were the right to transport goods on the railways. This was the example that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had given. Because the railways were being built using the Great Leap Forward model, the wealthy would have a specific reference. As long as one wasn't too stupid, they would agree. The first reason was that the profits were indeed high and the power was great. The second reason was that if everyone else agreed, but he didn't, it seemed that, with his strength, he would only end up suffering a greater loss in the end. When the time came, the imperial court wouldn't even give him a chance to exchange benefits. What kind of storm would he be able to cause? As such, Gao Lishur's work went very smoothly. As for Zhang Xiaobao's later methods, not to mention the other aristocratic families and merchants, even Gao Lishur and Li Longji wouldn't have thought that the exchange of benefits was ultimately a trap. Who would have thought that there would be so many additional trains? And by using another new technology, how many times faster could the operation speed be? Who would have thought that the proportion of increased taxes would be transferred by the imperial court and used to curb the regional monopoly that they had obtained after obtaining the right to allocate railway goods, while others would have to bear the loss of subsidies? Thinking of this, Gao Lishur began to worry for his godson. He said, "Xiao Bao, you haven't even finished what you were doing before, and now you're immediately pushing out land. Land is the foundation of a person. When the time comes, the entire world will oppose you. Are you really going to force His Majesty to give you military power in a few more places? In the exchange of benefits on the railways, other than a portion of the imperial court's profits, more of it is squeezing your family's share. Could it be that your family also plans to give up land? Your family doesn't seem to have too much land." Without waiting for Zhang Xiaobao to reply, Wang Ju said in shock, "The matter of increasing taxes is sacrificing my grandson's benefits? If I had known earlier, it would have been useless. Right now, my family doesn't have the total assets of 3 million strings of string, but for the development of the great Tang, I can't possibly bully my grandson, right? Wang Ju said this at the risk of alienating his relationship with the emperor. He didn't know the meaning of the word principle, but he knew what he should choose. For his own benefits, he could give up his family today, but tomorrow, he could give up his country. Wang Wan was very satisfied with Wang Ju's words. She knew very well that when she and Zhang Xiaobao were in the disaster 100 years ago, some officials clearly knew that their children were buried underneath, but they didn't save them. Instead, they temporarily left them there to save others. In the end, their children died, but what did that official get in return? His selflessness, which contained selfishness, was only publicized by the media. After that, he could forget about having any further development for the rest of his life. It was impossible for him to be promoted. In fact, as soon as the matter passed, he would immediately be transferred from an important position. This was because the officials above him were also bitterly disappointed. Today, for the sake of advancement, you can even disregard your own family. What if it were me tomorrow? Promote you? Dream on. Wang Wan, who was in a good mood, said with a smile, "Grandfather, very soon, our family will have 3 million strings of cash. Sea cabbage can be farmed. You can circle a place and raise it in large quantities. Xiao Bao will then come up with a series of ways to eat it. There will also be free advertisements in the newspapers. It's not that we're specifically promoting our sea cabbage, but we're also helping other places that have sea cabbage. Our goal is to let the people of Great Tang know that eating this thing can prevent diseases. The price would rise, but it was controllable. Just like sea salt, there was a maximum sales price control in every place, and it could not be increased casually. With the improvement of water transport and railway networks, many mainlanders could also eat seafood. The problem now is the construction of roads and bridges. The main problem is that Xiaobao and I don't know how to design bridges. It's not that we can just take out the people who make the cannons and put them on the bridge pier. Otherwise, the bridge pier on the Yangtze River would not be made of iron chains. Iron chains make it impossible for trains to pass. Wang Wan's words reassured Wang Ju. It seemed that everyone in Great Tang knew that with Xiao Bao in charge, it was impossible for there to be a loss unless there was a natural disaster in the farming industry. However, natural disasters would not come every year. The corners of Wang Ju's mouth curled up, and he said with a smile, "I thought that I wouldn't have to pay more taxes, but I still can't escape." "Sigh, you're still pretending to be obedient after receiving such benefits," Li Longji said to Wang Ju. He did not care how much benefits Zhang Xiaobao gave Wang Ju. That was his own business. In the end, Wang Ju protested a little and said, "Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family's share in the railway transportation is indeed being squeezed. However, they have a lot of income in other areas, and the materials used to make the trains are not good. At least, they can't meet the standards set by Xiaobao and Cuckoo. There will always be all kinds of small problems. The industry is in their hands, and when the trains and railways need to be maintained, those who have the right to allocate them have to pay for it. Besides, most of the industries of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family rely on the local resources to develop, and they rarely need to transport. When they really need to transport, it is usually to transport people's livelihood goods to the disaster area or to balance the price of goods in a certain place. In this kind of situation, they can forcefully compete for the carriage share of others at any time, and others don't have the right to agree. Let's talk about the land. Xiao Bao, what price do you plan to pay in exchange?" Hearing Li Longji's words, Zhang Xiaobao curled his lips and said, "I don't understand. The land policy of the Tang Empire is beneficial to the people of the Tang Empire. Why do I have to pay for it in the end? Because I have always been listening to the two of you. No matter what you say, I will agree and help you after asking clearly. It's like when the two of you are playing billiards. I am in charge of setting the ball and passing the cue stick to you. The ball and the cue stick are mine, but the two of you have the right to decide which hole to put the ball into. Don't tell me that while the two of you are playing billiards, you want me to help you throw the ball in the pocket? The two of you don't even touch the cue stick, don't use any strength, and just use your mouth to talk? Li Longji gave an example, and Wang Ju was confused. What nonsense was this? They were talking about national affairs. How did this have anything to do with billiards? However, Gao Lishur, Zhang Xiaobao, and Wang Wan understood. What Li Longji meant was that the two of them were treating the Tang Empire as their own, right? Since it was the two of them who came up with the idea, it was up to the two of them to decide. Ah, that's true, right? Zhang Xiaobao turned to Wang Wan and asked. Wang Wan nodded. She admitted that this was what she and Zhang Xiaobao were doing. Their goal wasn't to earn money, but to develop the Tang Empire into the shape of their hearts. Thus, they didn't allow anyone to stand in their way. At times, they would display an extremely domineering attitude, carrying a conviction that they would slay gods and devils if they stood in their way. Speaking of which, Li Longji's words were right. Since the two of them were treating the Tang Empire as their own, they couldn't divide themselves between the greater Tang Empire and the smaller Tang Empire. Seeing that the two of them were in agreement, Li Longji said, "Since the two of you are playing, you have to bear the consequences of losing. I'll bear the consequences with you. When it's time for you to be serious, you have to be serious. Don't worry about money. After all, even if you spend money, there won't be a game for you to play, right? More or less, right?" Zhang Xiaobao was rendered speechless by Li Longji's words. "Then tell me, what should we do with the land?" Li Longji asked. "Of course, we have to exchange it. Even if we were to buy it directly, the other party wouldn't agree to it. Let's expand outward, and we'll have more land. Tell them that those who occupy a large area of land can exchange 1 mu of land for 5 mu of land. Furthermore, they won't have to pay rent for 30 years. In other words, they won't have to pay a single copper coin for farming." Zhang Xiaobao raised a finger. Then he raised 5 fingers. "What if the other party doesn't want to exchange?" Li Longji asked. "Doesn't want to exchange?" That's right. The land elsewhere is too far away from their home. Why should they give up what's near and seek what's far away? They can continue to annex the surrounding land. Can you kill them? Li Longji sneered, as if he was representing a group with a lot of land. Zhang Xiaobao also sneered. Who do I want to kill? I'll force them to their deaths. I'd rather pay a higher price to lower the price of grain. At that time, I'll pay 2 copper coins for a dough of grain. Let's see if it's worth it for them to farm. If they don't want to land elsewhere, I'll go and plant it. When the time comes, I'll transport back. Even if I have to pay a copper coin for every dough of grain sold, I'm willing to do so. Besides, hasn't our great Tang started to collect rent based on the number of mu of land? I'll use the seeds provided by the Senong seed to plant, and then the great Tang will raise the rent. They won't be able to object, even if they want to, because the great Tang will increase the tax based on the quality of the new seeds. In the end, I'll make sure that they can't earn back the money they used to buy the seeds. Not to mention other things, if I plant a large amount of high-quality rice in the northern area of Hebei province, once the price is lowered to the same level as here, they won't be able to sell even 1 gene of grain. Not to mention 2 ripening a year, even 3 ripening a year, they'll have to keep the grain in their hands. Zhang Xiaobao's ruthless words made Wang Ju and the other 2 shudder involuntarily. They had just eaten the freshly made rice, which was only ripening once a year. This was still a variety that could be further improved. The Senongsi had been very useful these years. Wang Ju indeed knew that the rice over there was much more delicious than here. When it was steamed, it smelled good. When it was eaten, it tasted many times better than here. In the past, he didn't know the reason, but now he knew that it was because of the length of the ripening period. If it were someone else who said this, Li Longji would take it as a joke, but since it was Zhang Xiaobao, Li Longji had to take it seriously. He knew that if it really reached that level, Zhang Xiaobao would definitely do it. When he felt that the method was feasible, Li Longji suddenly found a loophole and said, "Xiaobao, if you do this, what about the people who have land? Wouldn't they be done for? The local people? Subsidies, according to the number of people. Hasn't the court already stipulated how much land each person can get? Furthermore, officials are also calculated according to their ranks. Since it has been stipulated, when the time comes, subsidies will be given to each person according to the ownership of a land deed. But the tenant farmers won't give, because the land doesn't belong to them. The servant girls won't give, but a new contract will be released, and signed directly with the people who have the land deed. If the court needs that piece of land, when they forcibly expropriate it, they will send the people who have signed the contract to another place and give them additional land subsidies. The key is not the policy, but the people who implement the policy. Your Majesty, your patrol team needs to be strengthened. The cost of their patrol is insignificant compared to the local officials' greed and goodwill when they don't patrol. If they patrol a place once, it might cost them 1,000 strings of coins. But if they don't patrol, the loss to the court is estimated to be tens or even millions of strings of coins. Zhang Xiaobao had already discussed this matter with Wang Wan. In fact, the two of them had many ideas, and they also knew that the people of their time also had many ideas that they could use. But no matter what, it had to be implemented on the officials below. But their situation back then wasn't optimistic at all. There were layers of connections and countermeasures. The reason for this situation was that no one was clean. In those 100 years, the people had already formed a habit. Everyone said that officials were bad before they became officials, but after they became officials, they did the same. When they criticized others for having more women, they also wanted to have one in each hand. That was the fall of the era, the change in the people's hearts. Thus, only a small portion of people persisted, but it was useless. But the current Great Tang was different. The people of Great Tang still knew that they had to be loyal to the emperor and love their country. There were also few thieves in Great Tang. When they were caught, they wouldn't resist because they knew that they were in the wrong. In Great Tang, if you saved someone's life, they would bring their entire family to kowtow and thank you. If it wasn't for the rapid development of technology, the advanced production technology, and the sharper weapons, the society back then would have long been ruined. And the most fundamental reason for all of this was the development of technology. When other countries developed quickly, the threat to a slow-developing country wasn't just in terms of military strength, but also in terms of the beliefs of the people. Thus, what Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had to do was to seal off the advanced technology and then use Great Tang's technology to bully others. As long as they were powerful enough, they could get the peace prize no matter how many people they killed. The prerequisite was that they had to deal with the internal affairs of Great Tang first. At this time, the two of them thought of this matter and looked at each other tacitly. Then, they revealed gratified smiles. Wang Wan maintained this smile and went along with Zhang Xiaobao's words. When the time comes, even if others want to play tricks, their tenant farmers won't do it. This is because we'll directly move them elsewhere and give them subsidies. This way, they won't dare to play tricks on land. They want the tenant farmers to accompany them to cheat. Once the tenant farmers know that they can use this opportunity to take advantage of the situation, their efforts will be in vain. "Oh, this is a vicious move," Wang Ju exclaimed. In the past, he only knew that his son-in-law's 2 children were formidable. He also saw the development of Great Tang and received some information from Lilongji. But today, after hearing the words of the two of them, he realized that this was the most profound moment. It turned out that many of Great Tang's national policies were developed in this way. In this way, the other officials in the court could only be decorations. They just had to follow the work, but they didn't have a chance to follow the decisions. Who could think of a series of things? Was this the legendary way of thinking of the students of Jinjia Academy? Many things found to be very simple after hearing from others, but if others didn't mention it, he would never think in this direction. He also didn't know how his grandson and granddaughter-in-law learned these skills. It seemed that they knew everything. Ordinary children, even if they were chosen by the 2 experts behind them, probably wouldn't be able to learn even 1/10 of it. This required extraordinary intelligence from a very young age. Lilongji wasn't surprised at all. He was used to it. If the two of them couldn't say anything, he would be surprised. Therefore, he nodded and said, "If you want to say the best, it should be the method of continuous patrolling. I plan to send out a batch of patrolling people every month and then add more patrolling people every quarter. According to what you've mentioned, if the first batch of patrolling people can't find a problem, but the second batch find a problem when the first batch appears, then the first batch will be killed. If everyone can't find a problem and is caught by Xiao Bei and the others, everyone in the first batch will be exterminated. I definitely won't allow problems to happen to the local officials. It's fine as long as it's a habit. As for the money spent on patrolling, compared to the benefits of stable development, it's really too little. So, I agree to the land plan. Li Shi will be in charge of implementing it. Yes, Gao Li Shi replied. When Wang Ju heard that the matter was decided so easily, he pondered about the issue of patrolling and advised, Your Majesty, the local officials have many tricks. The patrolling people might not be able to see through them. Isn't it too heavy to exterminate them directly? Heavy? It's not heavy at all. I'm just choosing people from the local officials to be patrolling people. It hasn't been long since I started, so I haven't found the time yet. In the future, I will test the patrolling people and test their various tricks. Whoever can come up with a solution that others can't solve will receive a large amount of rewards. For example, if a county magistrate suddenly thinks of a good idea to embezzle 10,000 strings of coins without anyone finding out, I will send a decree every month to recruit capable people. As long as he, the county magistrate, can tell his method, I will reward him with 20,000 strings of coins. To deal with the local officials, we must use the local officials. Usually, the people who are chosen to be patrolling, other than patrolling, their other work is to think of various methods. Tell me, if they can't find a problem, won't it mean that they are not diligent? Li Longji also explained his plan and looked at Zhang Xiaobao proudly. Zhang Xiaobao had never told him about such a reliable method. Your Majesty, first of all, the county magistrate will receive more. Why don't you let him embezzle? Second, in the future, the local officials will realize that it's better to think of different methods than to embezzle directly. All of them will think of different methods. Wang Ju was still worried. Wang Qing, you're not like the past you. You used to be so smart. So why have you become so stupid now? Li Longji was puzzled. A county magistrate may receive more, but his method can be used in many counties. In the future, the other county magistrates won't be able to use this method. As for the second point, it's not that easy to think of different methods. If you spend all your energy on thinking of different methods, you will lose your political achievements. When the time comes, you will be held accountable. It's not that there won't be any loopholes, but as long as you continue to improve, it will become more and more difficult to find loopholes. Not everyone is that smart. Only then did Wang Ju react. He raised his hand and rubbed his temples. He had also been affected by the words of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and lost his calm. The main reason was that he had been mentally unstable for the past 2 days. He nodded and didn't say anything else. Instead, he prepared to listen quietly and let himself recover. Gao Li Shi stood up and walked to the door. He gave some instructions to the people outside. He had to first clarify the issue of land and how much land each family owned. Otherwise, there were still many situations where the land was fake. Once the news of the contract was released, the people who owned the land would probably take it back. As for what they would do, there was no need to worry about it for the time being. When Gao Li Shi returned and sat down again, Wang Wan brought up another matter. Your Majesty, I've discussed with Xiaobao. In the future, we won't give the officials land. Instead, we'll just give them money. In the past, we gave them land because the imperial court's treasury wasn't very abundant. However, we still need to let the officials do their work. If we don't give them land, the officials won't be able to survive. Now that the imperial court has more money, we don't need to continue giving them land. On one hand, it's good that the children of the officials don't like to do business. In the future, we will have to think of ways to control it. Otherwise, it'll be easy for the local officials to seek benefits for their children. Xiaobao and I propose that the current official's salary be doubled during his term. After his term ends, he will be given a one-time reward according to his evaluation results. This is called raising honest people with high salaries. For a provincial governor, if he can really increase the standard of living of the people in his province by 10 times and develop the place in a non-destructive way and generate 1 billion strings of cash, what's wrong with rewarding him with 1 billion strings of cash? Zhang Xiaobao also cooperated and said, not allowing the officials to hold a post in the local area can be postponed. After all, if they don't hold a post in the local area, they won't understand the situation in other places. In fact, Zhang Xiaobao also wanted to say that in the future, the local officials should be like Sanshui County. Whoever could become a local official wasn't appointed by the imperial court, but by the willingness of the local people. However, after considering the current political system, he felt that it was too early, so he stopped. Li Longji didn't directly agree this time. He still had to discuss with the other officials and see if they wanted money or land. The former was easy to handle. Money could be earned. If it was the latter, then he would have to discuss with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. How could he let the officials voluntarily give up land? During this process, he had to use Zhang Xiaobao's ability to deceive people. He had to make the officials feel that if they asked for land, their losses would be many times greater than if they asked for money. That way, there was no need to force them. They would ask for it themselves. The main method was to lower the value of the land and, at the same time, not harm the people who work there. Xiao Bao, Cuckoo, I want to send a report back to the capital and wait for the results. Speaking of the problem of using money to replace land, as well as the problem of raising honest people with high salaries, I believe that they will be willing to pay more for the latter. I think that if we don't come up with a solution, they will want both money and land. Haha. Li Longji felt that he could also think this way. Who didn't want to take advantage of the situation? Zhang Xiaobao also laughed and said, "We'll listen to your majesty." "What do you mean listen to me? It's always you and Cuckoo who come up with ideas. I'm just the one who sets the ball, but the case, the ball, and the clubs you use are all mine." Li Longji corrected him. Wang Ju understood now. The so-called case referred to the Tang Empire, and then the emperor let Xiao Bao and Cuckoo develop their relationship as if they were playing a game. Thinking of this, Wang Ju was very surprised. He finally knew how Xiao Bao and Cuckoo got along well with the emperor. The two of them didn't want power, but the emperor didn't do it. No wonder the emperor always supported the two of them. Thinking that his family would be richer in the future, Wang Ju said happily, "The problem of land in the Tang Empire will be solved. Everyone will have land to plant." That's great. Unexpectedly, as soon as he said this, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan shook their heads at the same time. Zhang Xiaobao said, "The problem of land has not been solved. Now people are planting indiscriminately. They're not willing to change what they planted in the past. They always think that it will not be as good as what they planted now. In other words, they don't want to take any risks. Therefore, we have to find a way to make them change, especially if one thing sells well this year and everyone plants all the same next year. That will cause them to lose money. First, how to make them willing to accept new varieties of crops. Second, how to make them understand that they can't follow the trend in the process of accepting. At the same time, we have to form a scale where they can plant the same thing. This is very difficult and difficult to control. Planting seeds in one place all year round will reduce the yield of that place. Now, the Tang Empire is facing this situation because there is a lot of land, so there is a fallow. However, in fact, there is no need for a fallow. There are other ways to solve this problem. I will let the people of the Western Agriculture Temple take care of it and add in the upcoming insurance mechanism. Right now, we don't need too much agricultural subsidies. The more direct way is to reduce the rent. We can only do that after the people who occupy the land are cleared out. At this point, Zhang Xiaobao did not say anything. Whether or not agricultural subsidies would depend on the speed of economic development, the proportion of land in the entire society, and the amount of land per capita. It was not to say that the people who planted the land had to suffer and receive subsidies. It would depend on the average income and the price of other products. A balance was the goal. All right. Xiao Bao, go and prepare some food. Eat the noodles. Go and call that boss and let him see how you do it. We can discuss the future matters in the future. If we continue to listen, we will be confused. Li Longji ate a small bowl of shredded pork noodles. Not only did it not feel good, it also did not feel full. His stomach felt empty. Eat the instant noodles. I will teach him how to make it. Zhang Xiaobao stood up gloomily. He had just exhausted his brain power, and now he still had to exhaust his physical strength. Instant noodles are still noodles. All right. Li Longji appeared to be very easy to talk to. He knew that Zhang Xiaobao would not use instant noodles to deal with him. During the meal, they were indeed eating noodles. The noodles were rolled out by Zhang Xiaobao. To make the noodles taste good, one was the type of wheat, and the other was the processing process. Naturally, there was no lack of good wheat. Zhang Xiaobao spent a lot of effort and rolled the noodles over and over again. The boss of the soup pancake shop was standing beside them. When he saw Zhang Xiaobao adding some salt to the noodles, he curiously asked why. Zhang Xiaobao did not hide anything and directly told him that the texture was good. The noodles were smooth and tender and would not stick together easily when cooked. Whether the noodles tasted good or not, apart from these 2 points, the most important factor was the type of noodles eaten and how to prepare the soup and sauces. Zhang Xiaobao made 4 types of soup and 6 types of sauces. Some of the sauces could not be prepared immediately and had to be prepared beforehand. Similarly, Zhang Xiaobao had no intention of hiding this and told the boss everything. Not only did he teach the boss about the noodles, he also told the boss about his thoughts on noodles. After all, the boss was tested by Li Longji and stood in front of Li Longji at that time. Although the assassination was fake, the boss's attitude was genuine and should be rewarded. Another point was that Zhang Xiaobao was very clear that his cooking skills were not good enough. He had not reached the level of a special grade chef and would not have much time to study cooking in the future. The reason why he could cook better than others was because he had been studying ever since he came here. Another reason was that he had eaten a lot of noodles and had a good grasp of the seasoning. The future development would depend on the efforts of all the chefs in Tang who were dedicated to making delicious noodles. Since the boss wanted to promote the soup pancakes, then he would help him as much as possible. Perhaps many years later, there would be an old soup pancake restaurant that would stand tall for hundreds of years. Zhang Xiaobao's serious teaching moved the boss of the soup pancake restaurant. Although he had always called Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan Xiaobao and Cuckoo and felt close to them, he had never thought that one day he would really stand beside Zhang Xiaobao and learn how to make soup pancake from Zhang Xiaobao. He knew that Zhang Xiaobao was good at making money, and he also knew that Wang Wan was good at fighting. He had also heard that Zhang Xiaobao was good at cooking, but he never thought that he was worse than him. However, when the noodles were ready, he recalled what Zhang Xiaobao said and was shocked. It was too amazing. There were so many things to pay attention to when making noodles. It was a pity that the noodles were ready too quickly. Looking at the situation, Zhang Xiaobao had not finished speaking before he had to eat. He could not pester Zhang Xiaobao to ask about things. He did not know when they would meet again. Perhaps he would not find an opportunity in his lifetime. Just as he did not know how to thank him, Zhang Xiaobao asked someone to send the noodles out and said to him, "If you come up with any good ideas in the future, remember to send me a telegram. I will let the inner courtyard take note of you. Then we will continue to discuss and learn from each other." Zhang Xiaobao really wanted to see a master of noodles grow up. He also knew why he was so amazing. It was because he was standing on the shoulders of a 1,000-year-old ancestor. A sauce that looked simple might have required the efforts of several generations. Taking it out himself could be considered as returning the favor to the previous owner. Perhaps the noodles he had eaten before were developed by this owner. Then it was passed down from generation to generation and gradually perfected. This owner did not know what Zhang Xiaobao was thinking. When he heard that he would have the opportunity to learn from Zhang Xiaobao in the future, he was so excited that his whole body trembled. He opened his mouth and did not know what to say. As for Zhang Xiaobao saying that they would discuss and learn from each other, he only thought that Zhang Xiaobao was being modest. "Well, I want to accompany you. I'm going to eat with you." After Zhang Xiaobao finished speaking, he found a servant from the inner courtyard and directly left after saying a few words. Naturally, this owner would not follow him to eat. After explaining his situation to the inner courtyard and seeing that the kitchen had left a bowl of noodles for him, he thought for a while and picked it up, greeted the servant, and ran back to his own restaurant. He wanted to let the cooks try it. At the same time, he did not forget to take away a portion of the various sauces and soups. As for how much the utensils were worth and what he would do if he broke them, he did not even think about it. In any case, the owner was rich and did not care about him. If it was not broken, he would send it back. If it was broken, he would ask the owner to buy another set. Early the next morning, Zhang Xiaobao had just prepared a light breakfast for his mother and mother-in-law and was waiting for them to eat. After eating a few steamed buns, he was called by Wang Ju to go fishing by the West Lake. Wang Wan accompanied her mother and mother-in-law to find a place to do needlework. She only did the embroidery for her mother and mother-in-law. As for the sewing place, she took over for them, afraid that they would accidentally prick their bellies. Of course, that was just a saying. In fact, it would not be a big deal even if they were to prick their bellies. It would be painful if they were to prick their bellies. There was even a thread behind the needle. She had never heard of anyone being prickled badly. However, at this time, children were precious. From the moment they had children, they had to be careful. This referred to the wealthy. As for ordinary families, many women even gave birth while they were still working. But there was nothing that could be done about it. A person was a labor force, and only after Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan began to implement free medical treatment with Li Longji did the situation improve. This was especially so now that the Great Tang was helping to raise children, and the Great Tang's population was rapidly increasing. Jiang Wang clan looked at Wang Wan, who was earnestly doing needlework, and said with a smile, "The later the child is born, the happier he will be. When you and Xiao Bao were born, our family was not as good as now. At that time, I was already 1 month old, so I didn't do anything. Don't be fooled by Zhuangzi." Sigh. Mother, I know. Even the landlord didn't have any extra food. I still had to save up some money to buy books for father to learn from the teacher. It was because of the hard work back then that we have today. Wang Wan said with a smile. At the beginning, when she was in a daze, she called mother-in-law. She didn't call Zhang Zhong father anymore. She felt uncomfortable, so she didn't call Zhang Xiaobao father. Instead, she called him Zhang Xiaobao and Zhang Xiaobao. Wang Wan's mother also said, "It's not us. It's all because of Xiao Bao's ability. Xiao Bao can make a lot of money. Not to mention ordinary people. Even if the whole Tang Empire worked together, it still wouldn't be enough. You can't always bully Xiao Bao just because Xiao Bao dotes on you." Wang Wan's mother was already a rank 1 noble lady, but she still adhered to the original, traditional ideology. That was, a wife must take good care of the elderly, help the man take care of the family matters, and take good care of the children. Even though she knew that her daughter was no worse than her son-in-law, she still said that. Just like the Jiang Wang clan, didn't she still live a good life with the Zhang family? Jiang Wang clan naturally defended her daughter-in-law. She said, "Sister, you can't say that. You've spoiled Xiao Bao too much. There needs to be someone in the family who can control him. In my opinion, Cuckoo should look after Xiao Bao more often. Otherwise, one day, he will fly into the sky and abandon his mother. With Cuckoo around, if he dares to fly, she will shoot him down. Xiao Bao can't fight." Wang Wan's mother said with a smile, "Sister, you're the one who's spoiling her. As a mother-in-law, you don't control your daughter-in-law. Who knows, one day, Cuckoo will take over the power in the family and not treat you well. There's no need to fight for it. I'll give it to her now. Cuckoo is not that kind of daughter-in-law. When the child is born, I'll have to let Cuckoo take care of him. Even I don't feel at ease. Anyway, I can't teach a child like Xiao Bei," Jiang Wang clan said with a smile. She was not worried about the child at all. Whether it was food, clothing, or education, she was not worried at all. With Xiao Bao and Cuckoo, the child would only be better off. Wang Wan's mother also smiled and did not say anything. In the past, she was worried. After all, her daughter would eventually belong to someone else. If she had another child, they would not give the money to her child, especially the boy on her side. However, she later realized that it was impossible. Xiao Bao treated all his younger siblings the same. Moreover, even she did not know how much money she had at home. There was no need to worry that the child would not be able to live a good life without money in the future. Just a little bit of the family's money was enough for a child to establish a family by himself. The later the child was born, the happier they would be. Back in Luzhou, when the family was not as rich as it was now, Xiao Bao and Cuckoo could build a big delivery room for their unborn siblings. Then, they immediately built a big house with agarwood. When the child in the womb was born, She wondered how much love she would receive. Wang Wan also said with a smile, "When the baby is born, Xiao Bao and I have decided to let Xiao Bei and the others take care of it. In 2 months, we'll let someone take a look. It's best if it's twins. The more people in the family, the better." At the mention of Xiao Bao, Jiang Wang clan remembered that her son had been dragged by her father to go fishing. She shook her head helplessly. "Xiao Bao is too much. He's busy all day, but he still has to go fishing. Xiao Bei and the others went to Jiang District by themselves. They're worried. I don't know what's so good about fishing." Chapter 1062. Zhang Xiaobao looked straight into Wang Ju's eyes, shook his head blankly, and asked, "Grandfather, we are here to fish. Is this thing a crawler? Can it walk on the ground?" As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Xiaobao regretted it. Who was the other party? It was Wang Ju, a close official of Lilongji. How could he be an ordinary person? He had overdone it. It was all Wang Ju's fault. Sure enough, after hearing Zhang Xiaobao's words, Wang Ju's joy faded a little. He finally knew what it meant to understand the ways of the world. His grandson must have known what he had asked someone to bring, but he pretended not to know just to make him happy. If he didn't hear his answer, he would have thought that he had never seen it before. Sometimes when a child is too smart, it doesn't feel good for an adult. Thinking about it, Wang Ju became happy again. Her grandson was doing this to make her happy, which meant that the child was filial to her. Moreover, to have such a sensible grandson was something that she could only wish for in 8 lifetimes. Others probably didn't have it, right? So Wang Ju didn't care anymore. He said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Since you know, let's throw it down and see. The bait you gave you has a lot of hooks, and you also need to put some on the tongue. It's best if it's a worm or a red worm in a small ditch. There's a place you need to hold down. Otherwise, if you touch the hook in the tongue, it will close its mouth. Hang stones in the net below. If you hang other things, they will fall into the water in the end. It's not convenient to salvage them." Okay. Zhang Xiaobao didn't continue to pretend to be stupid. He carefully looked at the wooden otter. According to Wang Ju, the bait should be hung and the bait should be put down. This was to attract different kinds of fish. Both of them were ready, so they put the bait down and waited for fish to eat it. If a fish touched it, the wooden otter would close its mouth and release the stone below. It would float up automatically. Seeing her grandson put the things down, Wang Ju threw in a few more fishing rods and said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Xiaobao, I almost forgot. You and Cuckoo are not ordinary people. Also, the Ministry of Works that you let Yongcheng manage and the technicians in your family design are more advanced. In the future, if you encounter something like this again, tell me the truth. The more you know, the happier I, as your grandfather, will be. Xiaobao, tell me the truth. Did you use your skills to make this thing?" Wang Ju felt that with the technology wise Sun Tzu had, he could make better wooden otters, so he asked. Zhang Xiaobao waved his hand and replied, "Grandfather, how could I possibly make such a thing? This thing can only catch one fish at a time. I can play with it for myself, but I don't have much time to play with it. I have to think about things all day. Although I came here to fish with you, I also have to think about other things. It's either I don't make it, but as long as it's something that Cuckoo and I make, it will definitely be something that the people of Tang Empire need. We also made tools to catch fish, but not just small things like this. We put big things on the fishing boats. They can help with the fishing nets and make it easier for the fishermen to catch and collect the fish. If we do it for ourselves, that is truly for ourselves. If we do it for the people of Tang Empire, Cuckoo and I will be happy. We don't care about the world, but we care about what we can do for Tang Empire. Compared to how many fish we can catch, a word of gratitude from the people makes us feel more comfortable. Selflessness is selfishness. I haven't seen true selflessness. Even if you don't leave your name when you make something, it's because as long as you think about how much help your product can bring to others and feel gratified, that's the embodiment of selfishness. It's just that one kind of selfishness brings benefits to oneself, while the other selfishness brings benefits to others. There's nothing wrong with selfishness. What's wrong is whether you belong to the former or the latter. Wang Ju listened to her grandson's words and then looked at the third wooden otter that had not been baited yet. She suddenly felt her face heat up. She thought to herself, no wonder His Majesty gave me the cold shoulder and valued Xiaobao and Cuckoo. She was just an opportunist who helped His Majesty seize power. Xiaobao and Cuckoo were the ones who were truly magnanimous. They might have flaws and all kinds of small problems, but the people of Tang Empire approved of them because of their persistence and sincerity in the matters of Tang Empire. Just like how Xiao Bei refuted Shan Feng, who had come looking for trouble and wanted to attack Xiao Bei and the others. His meaning was very straightforward. He said, "Don't put ethics and morals on me. I'm not a saint. This is all I can do. I'm doing it, and I'm working very hard. As for what I did wrong, it's wrong. I'm willing to take responsibility. I have a good brother and sister, but you don't. With the help of my brother and sister, I can help others. As for you, you can only be a mountain village man. You could just be a good village man. Why do you have to question me?" She had originally wondered why Xiao Bei and the other children were so direct, but now it was clear that their brothers and sisters were the same. The strength and calmness in their bones, and then they brought benefits to the people, were what the people liked the most. They were not something that a noble man full of benevolence and righteousness could compare to. The people admire morality, but what they needed more was rice. The people needed benevolence and righteousness, but what they needed more was invincibility. And what Xiaobao and Cuckoo were doing was what the people needed. One was improving their lives, while the other was conquering the world. Thus, the emperor did not need someone who would rebel. What he needed was someone who could stabilize the country. Everything was that simple. Wang Ju finally understood why she was alienated. It was because she did not immediately change. At the same time, she also understood why the emperor appreciated her. It was because of her relationship with Xiaobao and Cuckoo. Xiaobao was her grandson, and Cuckoo was her granddaughter-in-law. If she was still the same opportunist as before, then there were two possible situations. One was that Xiaobao and Cuckoo would rebel with her, and the other was that the two of them would watch over her. This was the emperor's idea. In that case, the emperor's trust in Xiaobao and Cuckoo had reached a terrifying level. Did the emperor believe that Xiaobao and Cuckoo would not rebel with her? Zhang Xiaobao's words made Wang Ju think of many things. After thinking about it, the way Wang Ju looked at his grandson changed. He waved his hand, and everyone around him retreated. He asked Xiaobao, "If you and Cuckoo rebel, what will the result be?" Zhang Xiaobao's expression was still so calm, as if what Wang Ju asked was a very small problem. He smiled and replied, "Then we will have to find a new emperor. It is very troublesome and not worth it. The people of Tang will also be at a loss for a period of time. A person's life has an end. Cuckoo and I do not want to waste years or even decades to restore the confidence of the people of Tang. It is not worth it. Grandfather, do you know? Right now, Cuckoo and I are developing Tang's industrial development in a very effective and direct way. If we do not take detours, it will develop very quickly. You will see that Tang's technology is developing by leaps and bounds. What Cuckoo and I need to do is to train talents. We have bypassed all the detours in the development process. We will make the researchers believe that there is absolutely nothing wrong with their research. In less than a year, you will see a new carriage. Carriage? All right, let's call for a carriage. It will definitely appear because Cuckoo and I know what it is. We won't let the researchers waste too much time on uncertain experiments. We will not let them borrow money and find investments for the materials they test. We have omitted this process. This is the super industrial revolution that Cuckoo and I are building. Just like this fishing device you made. Just like you said, I know that Cuckoo and I know that it is too simple. It is just a few interactive links. It is not a big deal at all. But how long did you think when you made it? How many times did you fail? And in the Ministry of Works, failure is only due to the difference in the choice of materials and proficiency. It is not because the thing itself is wrong. Cuckoo and I will control the direction and thinking of the research. Zhang Xiaobao's meaning was extremely clear. Without making any mistakes, he and Wang Wan could make the great Tang develop its industry as quickly as possible, and then lead other industries along the way. Every day was very precious. They were not willing to waste years or even decades on the matter of who became the emperor. With that time, Tang would have developed to another level. Wang Zhu was frightened by his grandson's words. He really did not know the progress of Tang's industrial development, but after hearing this, he finally had a general impression and expectations. He wondered what the carriage that could replace a horse would look like. How fast could it travel? Would it be able to travel on all the roads? A year would pass very quickly. He was about to witness the emergence of a new thing. Compared to the fishing device he made, the fishing device was more useful. After thinking about it, Wang Zhu asked again, "Xiao Bao, what if someone wants to rebel? Or is it someone close to you?" "Impossible. People close to us will never rebel, because they know that rebellion will interfere with my and Cuckoo's plans. Anyone who has such thoughts is not close to us, but an enemy. Therefore, in my and Cuckoo's opinion, there's only one way to deal with those who rebel, and that is to kill them." Zhang Xiaobao's tone was still so calm, and there was no other expression on his face. However, his words made Wang Zhu's heart tremble. "Xiaobao, I am just asking. Since that is the case, you can go back to work. There is no need to fish. Fishing a few dozen fish is not good for the people of Tang." Wang Zhu suddenly felt that asking his grandson to fish with him was a crime against the people of Tang. Xiaobao was not a Xiaobao, but the whole Tang. With a swish, Xiaobao lifted a fishing rod with a foot-long grass carp wriggling on it. He looked at Wang Zhu and said, "Grandpa, I'll make braised grass carp for you later. If I can get a fat head carp, I'll make a fat head carp for you." "Grandfather, I suddenly thought of something interesting. Not only can it make money, but it can also improve your reputation. At the same time, it can also give the people a way to make money and let the rich people spend more money to generate profits and taxes." Wang Zhu was confused. Did he not express clearly enough just now? He said that there was no need to fish. Why was Xiao Bao addicted to it? Furthermore, if one were to say that Xiao Bao was absent-minded when it came to fishing, he caught the most fish, and his timing was even better. However, if one were to say that he was focused on fishing, how could he combine that with earning money and reputation, as well as making the people rich and raising taxes? "Xiao Bao, what's the matter?" Wang Zhu could only follow suit and ask. He was really confused. This grandson of his was too strong. Needless to say, his fishing skills were excellent, but he was still able to think of a bunch of things in such a situation. No wonder Her Majesty always liked to pester her grandson. He was really amazing. He could still think of other things while doing other things well. Judging from the few benefits, it was probably not a small matter. Zhang Xiaobao looked at his grandfather in surprise. Was it necessary? Fishing was originally a form of entertainment. While he was fishing in the past, he decided on the income of hundreds of millions of yuan. Otherwise, who would accompany those people to fish? Was he that free? Ordinary people were not qualified to fish with him. Of course, excluding Wang Zhu's identity as his grandfather, he could also be the Minister of Finance. He had been the Minister of Revenue before. Thinking of this, Zhang Xiaobao smiled and said, "Grandfather, what I'm talking about is actually very simple. It's fishing. You can organize and set up a place for fishing enthusiasts to play together. Let's call it the association. Then we will have it together. How will we have it? I have a reputation, but what about other things? How will we make money? How will the people become rich? And where will others spend their money?" Wang Zhu's experience made him unable to follow Zhang Xiaobao's rhythm. If it was Wang Wan, it would be much more convenient. This was also the reason why Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan cared about each other. It was really difficult to find someone who could understand you. Living alone in this world was indescribably lonely. Zhang Xiaobao did not expect Wang Zhu to understand at once. He explained, "If you set up a fishing association, you will naturally find a group of fishing enthusiasts. Then I will immediately follow and sell fishing rods and various fishing gear. Is it profitable? When the time comes, we will split the profits and give you half of the net profit. You have to find a place to fish, and you have to have fish. No matter where you look, the local people can set up a stall nearby to sell fishing gear, open a snack bar, or even an important lake. If your association goes there, you have to pay them. Only then will they give you a good fishing environment. As long as there is a certain amount of money flowing, there will naturally be taxes. Whether it is transportation, processing, or pure entertainment provided by enclosed areas, especially fishing in running water. You have to sit on a raft, right? People usually charge 10 copper coins to ferry people, but they charge you 100 copper coins. Are you willing to pay? Yes, the people in my association don't lack money. You could just throw out a little bit, and it will be more than 100 copper coins. We'll buy the fishing gear. Don't you know how to make it yourself? Wang Ju was very surprised. If others make it themselves, not only will it be a waste of time, but they will also not be as professional as me. Grandfather, let me show you my fishing gear. I have prepared this big box long ago. The things inside are divided into running water fishing and dead water fishing, sea fishing and river fishing, stream fishing and lake fishing, stream fishing and rock fishing. Even if it is the same place, different rods and baits will be used to catch different fish. There are also different techniques. In addition to the basic fishing equipment, there are also auxiliary equipment, such as chairs, tables, pole erectors, and so on. There are countless of them. I only brought a little bit in my box. As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he laboriously dragged a big box next to him over. He opened the lid, and a variety of fishing gear appeared in front of Wang Ju's eyes. Chapter 1063. Wang Ju, who thought of himself as a fishing expert, was completely dumbfounded when he saw the dazzling array of items in Zhang Xiaobao's box. He had never even heard of many of the items, let alone seen them. Is this a part of it? Wang Ju did not ask what each item was used for. He thought that his grandson would explain it to him and leave a few sets for him to use. However, he really could not think of a reason why fishing required so many items. The simplest type of fishing only required a rod, a line, a hook, and a bait. Zhang Xiaobao nodded and replied, Grandpa, this is indeed a part of it. If we really want to talk about fishing items, even 10 boxes of this size are not enough. Different environments, different seasons, different geographical climates, and different types of fish have a huge impact on fishing. Of course, if we only use a fishing rod, it is not impossible to catch them. Perhaps some fish will come to join in the fun. But didn't we just say that you will be in charge of the fishing association? Naturally, we have to prepare more items so that others can have a choice. Moreover, the more items there are, the more professional it will appear. This will indirectly raise the status of the association. Otherwise, if you use an ordinary wooden rod as a fishing rod, it will not reflect your identity, right? Zhang Xiaobao was very familiar with fishing. In the past, he often went fishing with others. While fishing, they would discuss business or scam others. He knew all the so-called high-level entertainment activities and was very proficient in many other aspects. For example, he could be considered an expert in golf. One was good at coordination, and the other was naturally rich. In fact, he was very clear that if everyone in the world played golf, then the people who were ranked high in the world would all be suppressed. They were not good enough. The reason why they could stand at such a high position was only because they could afford to play. Ordinary people, even if they had the talent, would not have a chance. This was the game that the rich played. It was not that they were really good at it, but that they did not play the games that ordinary people played. If they really played, they would be nothing. Wang Ju also understood the meaning behind Zhang Xiaobao's words. From the looks of it, it was not just for fishing but to make money. However, the money was not just for the fishing association, but also for other places with various kinds of fish. At the same time, the people could also go and join the fun. Of course, the most important thing was that all the fishing tackle was designed and made by his grandson. Therefore, for a period of time, his grandson could make a lot of profit just by selling fishing tackle. He could use the reputation of the Angling Association to sell his fishing tackle to his grandson. Good plan. It was really a good plan. Thinking of her grandson's ability to make money, Wang Ju smiled and said, Xiaobao, according to what you said, if I become the president, won't my fishing ability be better than others? Stay a few more days and tell me how to use the things in the box. However, Zhang Xiaobao shook his head and said, Grandpa, you don't need to be very good at fishing. What you need to do is to know the habits of each fish know what kind of fish are in which place, and know how to use the rod, bait, and hook. Your role is to organize fishing activities and manage the departments under you. You used to be the Minister of Revenue, so I don't think there will be any problems, right? Zhang Xiaobao knew the power of an organization too well. Whether an organization was good or not did not depend on the masters in a certain activity, but on the ability of the leader. It was easy to be a master. If one's own ability was not good enough, he could train them. If he could not train them, he could hire them. Just like in football, no matter how valuable the players were, they could not earn as much as the people in the club. Otherwise, the club would lose money. It was the same for car racing. In the end, the people who benefited from it were the people in the organization behind the scenes, not the people who risked all kinds of dangers on the field. This was the knowledge of using people. Wang Ju also thought of this and said with a smile, "Organization? I know how to organize an organization, but why does the fishing association need departments? Is there someone who takes you out to play and someone who sells fishing tackle?" As he spoke, Wang Ju narrowed his eyes and looked at his grandson. Zhang Xiaobao's eyebrows and Wei frowned. He felt that his grandpa was getting more and more stupid. What a simple question. How could he ask such a question? Thinking but not showing it on the surface, Zhang Xiaobao explained, "Grandpa, the fishing association is not the inner court of our family. What we need is unity. In fact, it is no different from the court, except that the court is at a higher level and the association is at a lower level. Fishing fans from all over the Tang Empire can't be so united. So what you need to do is the simplest and most difficult work of internal balance. You don't allow them to be united and make them a conflicts. One is the temptation from power, and the other is the temptation from economics. Power is the right to speak, and economics is naturally money. Only when there are conflicts can there be competition, and you can seize the opportunity. If they really unite, they may overthrow you at any time. So, you need to do this." Zhang Xiaobao began to explain to Wang Ju. For example, the departments and power should be divided. After all, it was a fishing association, and there was no need to be afraid that there would be too many idlers. The departments were also divided into those with more profit and those with less profit, so that it would be easier for the leader to make decisions. He talked about the managers who were responsible for fishing in the running water, the people who were responsible for fishing in the streams, the people who were responsible for organizing the staff, the logistics, and the auxiliary medical care, etc. He could even guide the subordinates to explore new fields, such as not only fishing, but also catching shrimps and turtles. He even told them some of the fighting skills of the subordinates. The more Zhang Xiaobao talked, the more he did not forget to pull the baited fish out of the water from the West Lake and put them in the net nearby. He let them live in the water until they were fresh when he ate them. Wang Ju listened attentively and nodded from time to time. He stopped fishing and narrowed his eyes even more. The kind smile on his face also became more obvious. It has to be standardized and managed according to the administrative method. And, Grandpa, you can't do this. You know it, but you still want me to say it. I've been talking for a long time, and my throat is dry. As Xiaobao spoke, he realized that it wasn't that his grandfather didn't know anything. He just liked to listen to him and listen to his opinions on political matters. The better he performed, the more satisfied he would be. It was a kind of care and test from an elder to a younger generation. Grandpa had not become such an important official for nothing. Just like Old Man Pai and the others, they were all smart and had a good grasp of the situation. Perhaps there were many things that they knew clearly in their hearts, but they still pretended not to know. For example, when Old Man Pai looked for him and Cuckoo to fish, it did not matter who won in the process. What was important was the result after they reached a compromise. There was also that Li Longji. He was good to the two of them, but not from the beginning. In the beginning, there were all kinds of suppression and tests. If it were not for the existence of a very distant country that was very powerful, the two of them would not have survived until today and would have been controlled. People who could become emperors were usually not given for nothing. However, they would also make mistakes. It was probably because Li Longji did not believe that he was the same as Cuckoo that he gradually changed. There were many emperors who made mistakes in history. Even the emperors of so-called democratic countries would make mistakes, but the art of struggle was not lacking. Thinking of this, Zhang Xiaobao could not accept it. He had said so many things to him, but in the end, it was just a test from an elder. Wang Ju chuckled. Xiaobao, don't blame Grandpa. It's just that the other children in Grandpa's family are much worse than you and Cuckoo. The younger children are also far behind Xiaobei and the others. Usually, I always want to teach them a lot of knowledge, including the political struggle you mentioned. They are afraid of me, so they want to learn, but they can't satisfy me. Now that you are here, shouldn't you make me happy? Okay, if you are happy, then what about the fishing association? Zhang Xiaobao said helplessly. Of course, I will be the president and help my grandson sell fishing equipment. I know that fishing is not like before. Before there was no fishing net, it was the ancient way of survival. Nowadays, very few people fish to fill their stomachs. It is okay to fish for prawns, but the big prawns are in special places. It is not easy to use a net underwater, so fishing for them is not easy. Now that there are fishing nets, who would still fish for food? Come, take out the tools in your box, and tell me which one is suitable for the lake in front of me. Once I learn it, I can help you benefit the country and the people. To be honest, selling fishing equipment is not very important to me. You don't lack money. What I care about is that the people set up stalls around the fishing areas and are responsible for processing the fish that they catch. Maybe the income is not the most, but the help to the people is the most direct. Today, there is the Fishing Association. Tomorrow, there will be the Snooker Association. The day after tomorrow, there will be other associations. Every association brings some benefits to the people. When many associations are added together, not only does it enrich the Tang Empire's entertainment, but it also slowly changes the lives of the people. Just like the pear garden that His Majesty built. Do you really think that His Majesty built it for him? His Majesty saw that the people were rich and was afraid that other things would happen, so he built it. Unfortunately, His Majesty thinks that he is rich, but in front of you and Cuckoo, he is still poor. Who asked for industrial and agricultural technology to not be able to keep up? Also, there's the canal that has been in use and has been expanding. Back then, Yang Guang said that it was for him to play, but he is not that stupid. Playing is just an excuse. His Majesty is also playing, and he goes to every place with a purpose. It is not His Majesty's purpose, but it is also the purpose of you and Cuckoo, right? Wang Ju also said a lot of things. Hearing this, Zhang Xiaobao became even more depressed. Since they all knew, why didn't the book say so? Wasn't it because of political needs? None of these people were good people. Sighing, Zhang Xiaobao took out something from the box. All right, then let's try out the various tools. While Zhang Xiaobao accompanied Wang Ju to fish, Xiaobei's team was getting closer and closer to Jiangzhou. However, they deliberately slowed down their speed. Now, the team was bigger than when they had just left Hangzhou. A portion of the gunboats had entered Poyang Lake, while the other portion had joined up with Xiaobei's team. There were also more hot air balloons in the sky. When they first started, no one could guess what was going on. However, when the identities of Xiaobei and the others were revealed, and when they started to encircle and annihilate the religious organization, everything became clear. Not only did the other party know, but the government also knew. Even the smarter people also knew. When a smart person said something, the other people would follow suit and spread the news. In the end, the more the news spread, the more ridiculous it became. In the end, some people no longer said that they wanted to encircle and annihilate someone. Instead, they said that there was a monster in Poyang Lake and that it was disadvantageous to the Tang Empire. It would overthrow the Tang Empire and cause the people to live in an abyss of suffering. The Zhang family and the Wang family gathered all their forces to find the monster and kill it. They wanted to protect the Tang Empire and allow the people to live a stable life. At the same time, there was another saying. The Tang Empire had angered the heavens, and there was a monster in the Tang imperial court. Therefore, the heavens sent immortals to kill the monster. However, the monster had already cultivated and was not easy to kill, so the immortals could only hide in the lake for the time being. Many people spread the former, but the latter was so rare that it was less than 1 in 1,000 people. Furthermore, it was very secretive. It was so secretive that no one dared to tell others. Instead, it was written on very small pieces of paper and pasted everywhere. Children were the most literate. Ordinary people would only take time out of their free time to make up for their literacy lessons. There are not many of them now. The effect of pasting paper strips was naturally not good. Ordinary people could not understand it, but children could. However, once they told their parents would immediately tell them to shut up. Some even followed their children on the streets. Early in the morning, they would see the paper strips that had been pasted everywhere last night. When the children read them, they would immediately tear them down. Ordinary people were not stupid. They could tell who was good and who was bad just by looking at their lives. Some ordinary people even spoke bluntly in places like tea houses. They said that the Tang Empire did not have monsters, but immortals helping the Tang Empire. Moreover, even if there were monsters, they were good ones. The immortals sent by the heavens were bad immortals. When the immortals in the mortal world saw that people in the mortal world lived better lives than immortals, they were jealous. As a result, when Xiao Bei slowed down the speed of the team, there would always be many citizens on the shore during the day. They would bring local specialties and ask the fairies in the river to help deliver them to Xiao Bei's boat for Xiao Bei and the others to eat. They used this to express their support for the Tang Empire. Ordinary people would not talk too much like the officials. They used the most practical actions to tell the rumor mongers whose side they were on and who they supported. Rice noodles again? We can't finish them either. Did you pay? When it was almost noon, Xiao Bei helplessly said to the inner courtyard as he looked at the items delivered by the ordinary people on the shore. We did, but the ordinary people were not willing to accept them. Look, a basket of rice noodles, if sold normally, would cost at least 15 copper coins. But in the end, the ordinary people who delivered the rice noodles only took 7 copper coins when we said that we would not take any money. It's not even enough to cover the cost, let alone the labor costs. Young lady, find someone else to be in charge of this matter. I think Steward Wang is a good choice. Let him do it. I really can't stand it. Arguing with the ordinary people over a few copper coins is like fighting a war. The inner courtyard complained. He wanted to divert the trouble and did not want to do this work himself. Xiao Bei chuckled and said, "It's the same no matter who does it. You work hard first. I'll discuss with them and see if they have any good ideas." After saying this, Xiao Bei went to look for Xiao Yuan and the others. It wasn't until noon, when they were eating rice noodles, that they finally came up with a solution. That was to take out the things that were supposed to be sold at every bustling port on the road and exchange them with the people who sent them to the shore. The fleet had bought and sold along the way. Now, not only had they earned back the money they had spent, they even had a slight surplus. Most importantly, they had enriched the dining tables of the ordinary people. This was because the ships usually carried a lot of food, all of which were local specialties. Since the ordinary people wanted to give them things, it was better for everyone to take advantage of them. If they exchanged with the other party, they would earn a little in value, and the other party would not lose anything. If they did not exchange with the other party and instead bought the goods themselves, the price would be twice as high. This gave them an excuse to stall for time, allowing Hu Liang and the others to infiltrate the enemy's ranks more easily. Once the matter of the exchange started, the ordinary people were not willing at first. The person in charge explained that the fleet could earn money and even revealed a portion of the data. Only then did the ordinary people accept the proposal of the exchange. As a result, there were even more ordinary people waiting on the shore to exchange. Every family had local specialties that were not worth much. They took them out and sent baskets of them to the shore, waiting for the fleet to send small boats to transport them back and forth. This turned the fleet into a mobile market. Other than the local specialties, there were also handmade products. Xiao Bei and the others did not stop them. As long as they came from the shore to exchange, no matter what the other party took out, they would exchange it with them. Even if it was a stone, it was fine. Of course, until now, no one had used a stone to exchange for it. They were afraid that they would be beaten up by other people who wanted to exchange. A few days later, the fleet finally slowly entered the territory of Jiang District. As soon as they arrived, all the guards became nervous. They did not know what the other party would do. Xiao Bei and the group of children also stayed in the cabin and did not come out. Although it was a bit depressing, it was still better than being hurt by danger. They did not want to put themselves in a dangerous situation. This was also what Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had always done. In the beginning, when their family only had Zhuangzi, they took out a portion of their money to protect themselves. They did not want to wait until they had earned money and status before accidentally dying. At that time, not to mention their situation when they had just become rich, even more powerful people could be assassinated. For example, Zhang Xiaobao once bought the life of a small country's prime minister and succeeded. Of course, it was nothing. Didn't many presidents of large countries die? Therefore, Xiao Bei and the group of children also learned from their older brother and sister. When there was a possibility of danger, they would do their best to protect themselves. They all stayed in the cabin to play with Pan, and Wang Wan. At the same time, they settled down to study. When the ship reached the border of Jiang District, it did not immediately stop. The capital of Jiang District was in Xuanyang. They had to pass through the entrance of Poyang Lake and continue along the Yangtze River for a while. The speed of the fleet began to change. Sometimes they would speed up at night, and sometimes they would even stop during the day. The place that they could reach in a day actually took them 3 days. On this day, there were even more ships coming and going on the river. The morning sun shone down diagonally. There were not only cargo ships on the river, but also ferries and slightly larger fishing boats. On the river, there were no small boats like the ones in Sanshui County. Otherwise, with the Yangtze River's speed and volume of water, as many small boats as there were, they would capsize. Even the slightly larger boats were not something that ordinary people could control. The ferries all moved diagonally. After leaving the shore, they moved in a diagonal direction. Furthermore, there were boaters. Xuanyang is in front, right? It is very lively. I see a lot of people walking back and forth. I can't see if there are any officials coming to greet us. Xiao Bei held a telescope in his hand and ran to the uppermost cabin on the 4th floor. He opened a very small window that was not made of glass and carefully looked forward like a thief. As the capital of Jiang District, which had Poyang Lake, Xuanyang's dock could not be deserted. If the sound of the river water hitting the ship was a little quieter, the ship could even hear the noise of the dock. Xiao Yuan also held a telescope and looked there. He said, "I hope that there are no officials coming to greet us. Who knows if there are any dangerous people among them? Brother and sister have already told us to be very, very careful. I'm scared to death. It's possible that all the officials in Jiang District have been bribed by the other party, even the other party's core members. If the officials come, we can't not meet them. What if they put a grenade in their stomach?" Nonsense. How can a grenade be put in the stomach? Why don't you say put a large cannonball in it? I reckon that if they want to put explosives, they just need to buy a bunch of fireworks and wrap them around themselves. Then, they will be found after a search. If they want to see us, they have to go to another ship to take a shower and change clothes. Xiao Bei did not believe that anyone could put a grenade in their stomach. It was too big to fit in, and it was so heavy. Not necessarily. There are many capable people in the world. Either they bury explosives somewhere, such as the dock, and wait for us to go up. Then they will light it up. With a boom, we will fly. Xiao Yuan had nothing to do, so he and Xiao Bei were discussing how to assassinate. At this moment, the inner courtyard member who was accompanying them said, if they can really get explosives, it means that they have their own people in the army. This is troublesome. If they can get explosives, they can also get guns. It's too dangerous for us. That's really possible. Xiao Bei became nervous. Then he instructed, stop the ships and issue a warning. Get all the ships in the river to maintain a distance from our fleet. Don't let them come forward. No matter the reason, even if their oars are not properly oared. As long as they come close, sink them. We can't go ashore at the dock. Let's go somewhere else. Oh, get someone to send the big doll made in Old Willow Village to the dock. I want to see if there's anyone who doesn't want the doll to appear. Just as Xiao Bei finished speaking, Xiao Yuan suddenly shouted, "Those ships! Quick, look at those ships! What are they doing? They are approaching us. There are even banners on them. Quick, see what's written. No matter what's written, don't come close. If you do, sink them. Quick, send someone to shout. No, don't send anyone over. Use the loudspeaker. Even if it's to welcome us, don't do it." When Xiao Bei heard Xiao Yuan, he looked over. Indeed, there were about 20 small boats with banners on them. They were approaching the fleet at a fast speed. They were upstream, so all they had to do was follow the water and go down. When the people in the inner courtyard behind heard this, they became nervous. They immediately ran outside. Before he could run over, someone on the ship had already thought of this matter. The loudspeaker's voice was broadcast. "All ships, listen up. Don't come close. If you do, sink them. All ships, listen up. Don't come close. If you do," shouts rang out over and over again, but the boats that were flowing downstream didn't seem to have any intention of stopping. Instead, there were people behind them who were rowing the oars, and their speed increased. Soon, they were less than 500 meters away from the first big boat in front of them. At this moment, on the ship Xiao Bei was on, he could already see the words on the banners through binoculars. There were words like Xiao Bei, welcome, Xiao Yuan, and so on. In front of each ship, there was a person waving a bouquet of flowers. This was a tradition passed down by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. They welcomed others to use flowers. Furthermore, the person waving the flowers had a happy look on his face. He opened his mouth and shouted something. It seemed like he was welcoming them. The first large ship didn't care about that. At a distance of 500 meters, the guns could already shoot. The light machine gun was set up on the deck in front and fired a few shots as a warning shot. The expressions of the people standing at the bow of the small ship changed, but the ship still moved towards the large ship. In the blink of an eye, it was 300 meters away. The people at the bow of the ship waved even more enthusiastically. Almost at the same time, there was a rumbling sound. The small cannon on the first large ship opened fire. It was aimed directly at the small ship at the front. A few shells landed on the water, and a few more hit the small ship at the same time. Just as the people on the shore and the other ships were puzzled, the small ship that was hit suddenly exploded even more violently. With that loud sound, it seemed like the entire water surface trembled. Seeing this situation, even if the people on the first large ship were stupid, they understood what was going on. This was definitely not the power of a shell. Because it was a small cannon, it couldn't cause such a big explosion. At this moment, the people on the other small ships jumped into the water. Even the people at the back who were rowing disappeared from the water surface. "They're so bold. Quick, destroy the small ship. Don't let them get close. Hurry up." Xiao Bei looked through her binoculars and shouted with all her might. Unfortunately, the ship in front couldn't hear her at all. However, the reaction speed of the ship in front was not slow at all. More shells and bullets poured out like they were free. The small ships that rushed over also exploded one after another. In the process of the explosion, the ships that were washed over by the water also exploded. In the end, only one small ship broke through the heavy barrage of shells and came to about 10 meters away from the large ship. This time, the people on the large ship did not attack. They just lay on the deck, meaning to let the small ship explode. After all, the ship was big enough, and the outside was made of iron. The only thing they were worried about was the vibration. They estimated that some people would be injured, but it wouldn't be enough to say that they would be killed. This was because the fleet had long been trained to move to a relatively safe place at critical moments. If they couldn't move in time, they had to stop all actions, cover their ears with their hands, and keep their mouths shut. The people on a large ship felt that the small ship that came over could still withstand it. At most, it would blow up the isolation cabin below the ship. If they were unlucky, water would slowly enter the ship. The damage control team on the ship would drain the water and slow down the ship's sinking speed. When the time came, the people on the ship would jump down and wait for the ships behind to rescue them. Everything was ready, but the small ship that came over did not explode. Instead, it sank very quickly after touching the large ship. From other angles, one could see that there was a hole at the back of the small ship. It was wet. When the other ships exploded, the gunpowder in that area was blown up. However, it did not ignite the gunpowder inside. Then, water flowed in and extinguished the line of fire. When the gunpowder was loaded onto the large ship and the hole was enlarged, the small ship sank just like that. The people on the large ship leaned on the edge of the deck and looked down. Then, they laughed and muttered, "Tisk, you want to blow us up? Don't you know that we have 2 little immortals in our family? God bless us." The people around were stunned. They were fine just a moment ago. Why did they suddenly start fighting? And why were the small cannons on the Zhang family and Wang family's gunboats so powerful? When they hit the ship, they could blow up the small ship to such an extent. Why are they fighting? Aren't they here to welcome the Zhang family and Wang family? Why are the Zhang family and Wang family opening fire? On a ferry that was not too far away, but not very close either, there was a person dressed like a scholar. His eyes were full of confusion. He seemed to feel that the Zhang family and Wang family in his heart had changed. However, someone beside him knew what was going on. He said to him, "What do you know? How can the cannonballs be so powerful? Look at the cannonballs that fell into the water. Why didn't they land on the ship? Welcome? The small ship must be carrying something that can explode." It's either the military's explosives or the gunpowder from the fireworks store. Fortunately, the Zhang family and Wang family reacted quickly. Otherwise, Xiaobei might have been killed by the explosion. There are other children too. Damn it, who did it? Who wants their lives? It must be someone who was instigated by the monster in the lake. Don't let me catch him. Otherwise, I'll kill him. The scholar was shocked. He turned his head and saw that it was a person dressed like a butcher. Only then did he understand why the other party was so ruthless. The other people on the ferry also felt that it made sense. After carefully thinking about what happened earlier, they felt that it was indeed so. The other party had already shouted and told them not to approach, but they still moved forward. Then, when the other party fired 2 warning shots, they moved even faster. That's too bad. They're all bad people. They want to blow up people in the name of welcoming. If the ship's reaction was too slow, wouldn't it have been blown up? A young man of 14 or 15 years old said angrily. Another person said, "How can the ship's reaction be too slow? That's the most powerful team in Tang. Some rascals also want to mess with them. Humph, they don't know how powerful the Zhang family and Wang family are. Now that they have interfered, the people who are supposed to welcome them first don't dare to do so." For a moment, the people on the ferry started cursing one after another. It was the same for the people in other places. There were always smart people who could see what had just happened. Therefore, the people on the river and on the pier started cursing. At the pier, there were 4 people with gloomy expressions. They looked at each other and spread out to squeeze through the crowd. However, when they reached a place where there were fewer people, only 2 people appeared. The 2 of them looked at each other, turned around, and ran, squeezing into the cluster of houses next to them. After running for less than 15 minutes, 6 people appeared at the place where they had just come from. One of them observed for a moment, shook his head, and said, "We didn't keep an eye on them. They escaped. Let's go back and continue the interrogation." The people didn't know what they were doing, and Xiaobei didn't know either. In the time before they took action, other than the pieces of wood that had been blown up, there were also corpses on the water. Some of the corpses were in pieces, while others were in one piece. They floated along with the river as it flowed downstream. Xiaobei's face sank as she looked through her binoculars. When she saw the corpses, she didn't look uncomfortable at all. She had experienced a lot of things and had seen all kinds of people die. She only felt sad, but she didn't feel disgusted or anything. After looking at the corpses, Xiaobei curled her lips and said, "A bunch of fools. The person who sent them must have told them to ignite the gunpowder when they were close enough. Then, they would jump into the water to escape. They really believed it. With the power of the explosion, how deep can you dive? Let's not talk about them. If I had jumped at that time on the boat, I would have either been killed by the shock wave or fainted and drowned. They've really pissed me off. I haven't even made a move yet. Just you wait. None of you can escape. I'll capture all of you. Then those who deserve to be beheaded will be beheaded, and those who deserve to be skinned will be skinned." Xiaobei, can you not make it sound so bloody? Stop the boat. This is great. The other party really has guts. Thankfully, our family is powerful and reacted quickly. We were prepared in advance. We were also lucky. A boat came over and didn't explode. I'm already waiting to save them. Xiao Yuan was also looking through her binoculars. She was also shocked. She was in the Great Tang, but someone dared to attack them, and in such a way. It was no wonder that her brother and sister had sent so many people to Jiangzhou. They really had foresight. If they had used the same protective measures as before, even if they didn't get injured, they would still be scared out of their wits. Xiaobei looked elsewhere and said, I'm bloody? No matter how bloody I am, I can't compare to them. I really want to talk to them about benevolence, righteousness, and morality, but I don't think they'll listen. What do you think? Even if you're right and we'll skin them after they're caught, I still feel that you shouldn't have said that. A girl should be like an elder sister. Xiao Yuan was just about to say a few more words when she sensed that Xiao Bei had turned his head. She hurriedly followed his words. After being suddenly attacked, the fleet stopped and remained on the surface of the river. The surroundings were heavily guarded, and the people woven from willow branches were sent to the dock. However, Xiao Bei no longer felt as oppressive as when he had first arrived. On the contrary, he felt very oppressed. He should have been the one to strike first, but in the end, someone else had taken the initiative. While Xiao Bei was uncomfortable, there was another person who was even more uncomfortable. That was 3 people in a single room in a restaurant in Xuanyang City. 2 of the 3 were sitting at a table next to the window, while the other was facing the window. Several dishes were laid out on the table, as well as a bottle of white wine that weighed 2 jin. But the 3 had no intention of touching their chopsticks. Their eyes were fixed on the street below, as if they were searching for something, but also as if they were casually looking at the pedestrians. After a while, one of the 3 shouted, "Waiter, the dishes aren't ready yet." Replying to a esteemed guest, "We'll probably have to wait a little longer. The dishes take a long time to prepare." The waiter poked his head out and then retracted his head. The person who had just asked the question was clearly very anxious. He whispered to the other 2, "The plan this time doesn't require us to get rid of all of those evil creatures from the Zhang family and Wang family. We only need to blow up a few of their large ships and let them see our strength so that they can continue to provide us with support." The other person picked up his chopsticks, looked at the dishes on the plate, then put them down again. Based on the faint sounds of activity coming from that side, there shouldn't be any problems. 24 ships equipped with dismantled fireworks and the medicine inside. As long as we stick to one of their ships, a single explosion will blow a hole in it. I know that although the outside of those ships is made of iron, the inside is still made of wood. It's not easy to make a ship that's made entirely of iron. Only small ships can be made of iron. I admit that their technology is formidable, and they're also smart. They can actually make iron ships float on the water, but so what? They can't hide even if they want to. The person who spoke earlier grinned, revealing a mouthful of big yellow teeth. He grabbed half of a cut chicken on the table with his hand and tore off a large piece. He casually chewed twice and swallowed, then said, "It's best to blow up those little bastards from the Zhang family and Wang family directly. I want to see what they can do then." That's right. The person who spoke earlier agreed. The 3 people fell silent for a moment and looked down at the street below. After a while, they asked the waiter again for the dishes. After getting the same answer, the person who hadn't spoken earlier said, "I'm afraid this matter is troublesome. There are 2 points. First, if we really blow up Xiao Bei and the others, the entire docks and people on the river will be taken care of. Our people won't be able to send the news here. Second, it's useless. Our people have been discovered and are now hiding. No matter which point it is, it's dangerous for us. Let's wait a little longer. If it really doesn't work, we'll leave here." That can't be, right? Our people have been hiding in the crowd this entire time. And what's even more impossible is that the explosion didn't hit anyone. The people we sent out have all smoked cigarettes. For cigarettes, they're willing to do anything. The person who spoke at the very beginning spoke somewhat unconfidently. He was also afraid that if they encountered this sort of situation, then the 3 of them would be in danger. Just as the 3 of them were talking, a disturbance suddenly appeared in the crowd below. The three of them focused their gazes, but before they could ask, the waiter had already poked his head over and said, "The three of you, Xuanyang City has already been placed under martial law. We just received news that the number of soldiers at the gate to Xuanyang City has increased tenfold. Everyone who enters will be searched, and there are also soldiers going door to door, asking questions. In addition, the entire city is open to entry and not exit. Would the three of you like to eat somewhere else? I reckon that the dishes won't be served." The waiter's words made the three of them stare blankly. They looked at each other and realized that their clothes were instantly drenched in sweat. How could that be? For the sake of an explosion, they actually dared to offend the entire world? The person who spoke at the very beginning exclaimed in shock. This was Xuanyang, not some ordinary small city. Didn't the Zhang family and Wang family say that they were always concerned about the common people? If they really did as they were told, just how great of an effect would the local area receive? Moreover, this had always been a struggle in the shadows. To be more precise, the intelligence agents of the Zhang family and Wang family had never openly appeared to arrest anyone. After saying this person revealed a delighted expression. Could it really be that Xiao Bei and the others were all killed by the explosion? Otherwise, why would a Zhang family and Wang family put on such a display? Fine. Are we going to withdraw or not? The other two people prepared to stand up. Just at this moment, another waiter ran up from below, leading a person with a dusty face. The moment he entered, he said, "The dishes are here. They've been directly delivered." The three of them simultaneously turned their heads and asked in unison, "How was it?" The waiter shook his head and shook his head. After taking a few deep breaths, he said, "It's over. We were all killed. Before we could even touch their ship, we were blown up by their cannons. One of them managed to get past with great difficulty, but in the end, it sank on its own and didn't explode. Of the four of us, I don't know where the other two went, while the other one split up with me. This place is dangerous." What? Didn't explode? 24 ships, but not a single one was blown up? Did they open fire? Could it be that your ships didn't put up a welcoming banner? One of them asked in shock. We did, but they used a loudspeaker to shout for us to stop. We didn't stop, so they attacked. They didn't give us the slightest chance. They all died. The people on the 24 ships should all be dead. The four of us split up and left. When we arrived at the rendezvous point, only two of us were there. The other two were probably captured by them, so we're already in danger. The person who came back said in a trembling voice, how could this be? They were actually that smart. They even dared to attack the people welcoming them. Weren't they afraid? It's already happened. What's the use of saying this? Let's go. The people might come here soon. The restaurant has been exposed. Tell the people in the restaurant to retreat together. Quickly, those who can't escape should end their own lives. Don't drag us down. The person facing the window stood up and said, and immediately walked down. He turned around and said to the waiter, "Quickly retreat to all the hidden places we have. Tell the people there to retreat too. Otherwise, it's easy to be caught. Send out the secret signal." The other two people followed and walked down. The waiter said, "We know. Take care." Soon, the entire restaurant shopkeeper, waiter, and cook were all gone. The people eating didn't know about this situation until someone called the waiter a few times, but no one answered. When they came out to check, they found that the entire restaurant was almost empty. Chapter 1064. Do you really think we don't dare to make any big moves? That's a fool. The explosion has already reached my head. So why would I care about the people's livelihood? I believe that the common people will also support us. On the boat stopped on the river, Xiaobei had someone cut half a watermelon. As he ate it with a spoon, he angrily spoke. Xiao Yuan, on the other hand, was using a toothpick to stick the watermelon that had been cut into small pieces. Looking at Xiao Bei's eating manners, he shook his head and said, "Xiao Bei, aren't you afraid that you'll get fat while eating with all your might while being angry? Can eating watermelon make people fat? Unless you take the sugar out of the watermelon and specifically eat it. Xiao Yuan, Do you think that if Big Brother and Big Sister knew that we ordered a lockdown on Xu and Yang, they would scold us? Xiaobei stopped eating and worriedly asked. Xiao Yuan continued to shake his head. They probably won't. Isn't it just affecting the people's livelihood? Besides, we came up with this idea together. Even if they want to scold us, they'll scold all of us. You don't need to be afraid. I hope so. Xiaobei was still unsure. So he took another spoon of watermelon and ate it. Sealing off Xu and Yang and conducting house-to-house searches had been their orders, so everyone present had to listen to them. Unless a new order came from Zhang Xiaobao's side, no one was allowed to disobey the orders of Xiaobei and the others. Those who hesitated or resisted were executed on the spot. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had very boldly given their younger brother and sister this authority. They were confident that their younger brother and sister would definitely make good use of it. Although there was a telegram, at this crucial moment, every second was crucial. Because after Xiaobei's group had been bombed, they had begun a series of actions, having the troops in the city begin to move. Of course, doing this would cause great damage to Xu and Yang. Besides economic damage, there was also psychological damage, causing everyone to panic. Xiaobei's group was gambling that the majority of the common people of the Great Tang would favor them and cooperate, but they had no confidence. They had already sent a telegram to Hangzhou, but they had not expected the degree to which the common people of Xu and Yang would favor them. When the people conducting the search went from house to house, the people naturally wanted to know the reason. When they heard that Xiaobei's ship was almost blown up, the people were even angrier than the people conducting the search. One by one, they walked out of their houses and helped the people who were searching the area to introduce the people who lived in this area, who came later, what their surname was, who was usually in the family, who was often mysterious, and so on. One by one, the citizens walked out of their homes. Not only did they help the people who were searching by knocking on their neighbors' doors, but there were also people who spontaneously organized themselves and stood at the foot of the city walls. They were a few steps away from each other and stood at the foot of the city walls. They did not give anyone a chance to climb over the city walls or crawl out through the hidden dog holes. According to the order of the lockdown, only people were allowed to enter and not leave. The commoners were about to go crazy from anger. Someone actually dared to lay a hand on Xiaobei and the others. How preposterous! When they heard that Xiaobei was coming over, they had been looking forward to it again and again. Everyone knew that when the people from the Zhang and Wang families arrived, no matter where they went, they would immediately come up with ideas. Moreover, they would come up with good ideas based on the local conditions and circumstances. Thus, the lives of the local commoners would be much better than before. If they were willing to become local officials, then the commoners would be itching to personally organize a group and snatch them away. Thus, if Xiaobei and the others came to Xu and Yang, it would naturally be beneficial to their own Xu and Yang. But now, before they even reached the shore, someone had gone to blow up the boat. Although no one had been injured, if Xiaobei and the other children were scared off and blown away, who would come up with ideas to raise the standard of living in Xu and Yang? This was what the commoners of Xu and Yang City were thinking, and then the entire city began to mobilize. Needless to say, with the help of the people searching the area really did manage to capture quite a few members of that organization and were now investigating further. While Xu and Yang was carrying out the entire search, Zhang Xiaobao in Hangzhou also received the news. In the past 2 days, he had been fishing with Wang Ju. They had changed many places, and according to the different environments and types of fish, he had switched out all sorts of fishing tools. Wang Ju was truly dazzled by all this. She couldn't understand just how her grandson had managed to learn all these skills. There was a limit to one's strength, and no matter how smart one was, learning this, and that would always take some time. But this grandson of hers truly knew too many things. If it was just her grandson alone, perhaps there would be someone who could think of a way to contend against him. But with her granddaughter-in-law, it made one feel utterly powerless when facing the two of them. Taking one person alone was already very formidable, but it was still possible to find a few flaws. But when the two of them were together, they seemed to be perfect and unassailable. When one person made a decision, The other person would always voice out a different opinion. Then they would discuss, supplement, or improve, and thus arrive at a result. No one was an absolute leader. Depending on the situation, the two of them would constantly switch positions. This was the truly formidable aspect. For this reason, Wang Ju would always beat around the bush, wanting to ask just what else her grandson knew. But just as she was about to ask, a telegram arrived. Wang Wan had personally ridden a horse to deliver it, her face a mask of indifference. Seeing Wang Wan like this, Zhang Xiaobao knew that something had happened. Throwing away his fishing rod, he asked, "What happened to Xiao Bei and the others?" Xiao Bei? Wang Ju was puzzled. How did Xiao Bao know that it was about Xiao Bei and the others? Just as she was puzzled, Wang Wan said, "They were blown up. Did you catch them?" Zhang Xiaobao asked again. Wang Ju was even more puzzled. "Why didn't you, Xiao Bao, ask your little brother or sister if they were injured?" "We're catching them. Xiao Bei and the others have sealed off Xuanyang City and are searching from house to house," Wang Wan said as she handed over the telegram. Wang Ju now understood. She didn't even need to speak. Just an expression, a glance, or even a feeling was enough to know what she wanted to say. No wonder Xiao Bao directly asked Xiao Bei and then didn't ask about their injuries. They had their own way of communicating. Hearing the two's question and answer, Wang Ju's heart, which had just been raised, calmed down. She also threw down her fishing rod and went to Zhang Xiaobao's side to read the contents of the telegram. As soon as she finished reading, without waiting for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to speak, Wang Ju began to shout, "They're too daring, actually daring to blow up my grandson and granddaughter's boat. Ah, if this was Hangzhou, I would catch them and skin them alive. Xiao Bao, look at the news they sent. They were even worried that you wouldn't let them seal off Xuanyang. You can't talk about them." Zhang Xiaobao saw that Wang Ju was protecting his little brother and sister and laughed. "Why not talk about them? So petty. You're worried about just sealing off Xuanyang? Come, pass down my order. Seal off all of Jiangzhou. If you report one person in the Jiangnan West Road, you can get money. If you report more than 5 people, you can get money. If someone from another country reports someone from another country, they could get money of tens of millions of strings. They can also choose 5 technologies from the Great Tang. The informant will not be held responsible. As long as he or she is not the mastermind, he or she will be exempt from punishment." Someone to the side received the order and left. Zhang Xiaobao continued, "Send a report to Xiao Bei and the others. Tell them to kill at least 100 people. Anyone who participated in this operation but didn't take the initiative to confess, anyone who didn't report, will be killed." Hearing this, Wang Ju finally understood what Xiao Bao meant. He was blaming Xiao Bei and the others for being too cautious. Wang Wan now said to Zhang Xiaobao, "It seems that we need to change our education. We've already been bullied to the point of being bullied, yet Xiao Bei and the others still consider this and that. Our Zhang family and Wang family usually protect the common people, but at the crucial moment, we ourselves are being threatened. What are we worried about? When we need to be strong, we need to be strong. There's no need to explain anything to others, and there's no need to explain anything to others. At worst, we can compensate them after the matter is over. There's no rush. If we teach them wrongly and they start doing things with great fanfare in the future, it'll be troublesome. They're still children, so we can't treat them like adults." Interesting, truly interesting. The other side knows how to strike first and explode, haha. I've decided. Once we catch them, we'll tie fireworks to their bodies one by one, and then let them have a taste of what it's like to be blown up. We won't blow them up one by one. Zhang Xiaobao flatly said. Even though Wang Ju hadn't been in contact with his grandson for too long, he could still feel the anger in Xiao Bao's heart. He then said, "Xiao Bao, we should blow them up. I suggest that the firecrackers shouldn't be too powerful. Just use small whips and blow them up bit by bit for a few days and nights. Even if they're injured, we can treat them before we blow them up again. What do you think?" "Grandfather, I'm just joking. Why should we blow them up? If there are too many people, I'll catch them and make them build a railway. It's best if other countries are involved. Then, I'll have a reason to ask Cuckoo to send troops to catch more people to build the railway. Isn't that right, Cuckoo? Zhang Xiaobao smiled and said. He really didn't want to kill more people. If he killed them, then so be it. But who would do the dangerous work? The current safety technology wasn't in place. If the railway was built at a high speed without any regard for anything else, it would be almost fatal. Oh, right. Catch them to build the railway. When the time comes, you should lead troops to catch Cuckoo. Wang Ju nodded in agreement. He had never taken a train before, but he had heard that it was very fast from the capital to Luoyang. Although the current speed wasn't as fast as the 800 kilometers per hour emergency report, the technology could be improved. The breed of horses was just that. It was too difficult to improve it. In the future, it would definitely be much faster than the 800 kilometers per hour emergency report. And most importantly, the emergency report could only take one or a few people at a time. The train could transport many things. A carriage could carry many people and a lot of goods. It was far from comparable to a horse. Wang Wen had a different idea. She said to the two of them, Grandfather, Xiaobao, I won't directly catch people. If there's really a need for war, I'll directly attack their country's capital. I'll surround them outside and not attack in. I'll force their emperor or king to sign a contract. That's how much labor they send to our Tang Empire every year. Like slaves, they don't care if they live or die. They don't get any wages, and they don't have food or drink. I'll make them lose the hearts of the people. I'll make them use force to suppress their people to work. I'll make their people feel helpless and indignant. I'll make their leaders know that it's wrong, but they have no choice but to do so. I'm even willing to help them maintain their imperial power and provide them with weapons to suppress their people. I think this is a good idea. Zhang Xiaobao agreed and continued. I can also help. As long as they have money and are willing to come to the Tang Empire, as long as they buy enough things in the Tang Empire, I'll give them the right to do so. But I don't want their money. I only want minerals, food, and wood. Livestock and poultry are also fine. Even if they are officials, I will also help them and bring their families over, as long as they do what I ask. They dare to scheme against my brother and sister. I'll make their entire nation sink. It wasn't easy for me, Zhang Xiaobao, to finally have a younger brother and sister. They still want to deal with them. Do they think I'm made of mud? Hearing the two of them speak, Wang Ju couldn't help but shiver. Killing people was just a matter of nodding their heads. Her grandson and granddaughter-in-law actually wanted to torture people nonstop. They wanted their rulers to take the initiative to force their people to do work that had a high mortality rate. What was the difference between that and forcing parents to cook their children, eat their children? Their desire for revenge was too strong. Weren't Xiao Bei and the others fine? It was said that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo were very good to their younger brother and sister. Today, she saw it with her own eyes. Xiao Bao, Cuckoo, since Xiao Bei and the others are in trouble, aren't you going to go over? Wang Ju saw that her grandson and granddaughter-in-law had no intention of leaving and asked. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head. We can't go over. Xiao Bei and the others have already gone, so let them take care of them. Children need to be raised bit by bit. My request for them is very simple. As long as they don't deliberately harm the common people and don't do something when they know it might harm the common people, then I won't care about them. The harm I'm talking about is direct physical harm, not economic harm. Economic harm doesn't matter. If any commoner suffers a loss, I'll help compensate. For every copper coin they lose, I'll compensate them 2 copper coins. In other words, if they steal food from the common people's fields, I'll condone it and compensate them. But I won't allow them to ride their horses on the streets. That will hurt people. Of course, I'm just giving an example. Usually, Cuckoo and I never teach them to do that. You can tell from their usual behavior what kind of education they received. Zhang Xiaobao explained to Wang Ju. In fact, there was something he didn't say. Jiangzhou was dangerous, but Hangzhou was not necessarily safe. If he were the other party, he would include Hangzhou. Therefore, he and Cuckoo had to guard Hangzhou, but he couldn't say it out loud. If he did, wouldn't he be saying that his grandfather, Wang Ju, was incompetent? Wang Ju didn't know what Xiao Bao was thinking. After hearing her grandson's words, she nodded and said, "Indeed, Xiao Bei and the others may do something wrong. But if you say that they deliberately do bad things, then you're definitely falsely accusing them. They have always wanted all the Tang people to live a good life. So, you and Cuckoo will stay here?" "No, Cuckoo and I will leave at night. We'll take a boat and go against the current to the north. We'll act like we're heading towards the capital," Zhang Xiaobao replied. Chapter 1065. Zhang Xiaobao didn't tell Wang Ju what he was going to do. Even the inner courtyard of the Wang family didn't know what Zhang Xiaobao was going to do, let alone Wang Ju. Only a small part of the inner courtyard of the Zhang family knew, but they kept their mouths shut. Similarly, before they arrived in Hangzhou, the inner courtyard of the Zhang family didn't know what Wang Wan was going to do. They were originally a family, but now they had formed their own system. The next morning, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan packed up a little, boarded a big boat at the dock, and headed north. Half a day later, a shop about 300 meters to the east of the same street as the Wang family in Hangzhou was bought. It was on the other side of the road, and the Wang family was diagonally across the street. The shop originally sold braised food, including chicken and pig. There was no braised beef. The business wasn't good, but it wasn't bad either. Braised food was very simple. It was salt. Braised food was usually boiled in salt water. Later, Zhang Xiaobao specially made a few simple seasonings to make braised food. Most of the braised food shops bought the ingredients themselves and used them according to the recipe. Seasonings were also very expensive. Ordinary people wouldn't buy them all the time. After all, meat could be eaten in any way. There is no need to use seasonings to make braised food. That was why braised food shops were able to stock up. If seasonings were 50% cheaper, half of the braised food shops in Tang would have closed down. The main dish of the braised food shop was braised chicken and pig. Once a person ordered it, it would be cut into slices. It wasn't too salty, and it was just right for people with light appetites. People with light appetites would dip it in soy sauce, and people with sour appetites would dip it in aged vinegar. As for white vinegar and vinegar blended with ice vinegar, ordinary people couldn't afford it. The shop also sold rice wine and white wine. With the increase in grain production, there were no restrictions on making wine or raising pigs. Pigs didn't have to eat a lot of grain. There were people who often came to ask for a small plate of braised food and could drink 2 bowls of rice wine. When they came the next day, they found that the owner of the shop had changed. The original 3 people had become a couple who looked to be in their 30s. The male host smiled whenever he saw someone. The female host maintained herself well and didn't look like someone who did heavy work all day. If it weren't for the 10 or so pockmarks on her face, she would definitely be a beauty. Unfortunately, she was guarding the counter with an abacus, pencil, and paper on it. She should be the female bookkeeper. When the people who came in saw that the shopkeeper had changed, they were first surprised and then felt uncomfortable. There was an extra sense of closeness and belonging to the people they knew. Now that the shopkeeper had changed, they didn't feel as comfortable as before. The person hesitated for a moment, but still decided to try a meal. He walked in and was about to look for his usual seat when he suddenly found that the layout of the store had changed. There were originally 6 tables, but now there were 4 tables. There were even 2 tables with long stools placed horizontally on both sides. In front of the 4 stools were 2 or 4 tables, which were much narrower and much longer than the tables. The tables were originally 5 feet wide, but now they were 2 feet wide. Connected together, they were very long, even as long as the stools. There were even lines drawn on the tables. It gave people the feeling that the person who was eating was sitting on the stools with a grid in front of him. It seemed that it wasn't very comfortable to eat in that position. The person who came in didn't plan to sit. Instead, he went to the big table and sat there. He turned his head and looked at the man in the store. This man was also a troublemaker. Without waiting for the customer to speak, he immediately walked over and asked with a smile, "What do you want? What do you have? Do you have a previous ones?" The person asked back. When the man who worked as a waiter in the store heard this, he showed a look of understanding and smiled even more brightly. "You are a regular customer, right?" Yes, we have the previous ones. When we took over the store, that big brother said that we can't take away the previous ones. Some people like this kind of food. How can I just take it away casually? As soon as the words came out, the person was satisfied. His status was unknowingly raised. Listen, regular customer. The new owner also knew that he was a regular customer. A plate of pig head meat, a bowl of rice wine, and a plate of salt beans. The person said happily, "Not yet. Wait a moment." The man was still smiling like he shouldn't. He nodded and turned back. The female owner standing behind the counter had already served the tea. The tea was brewed, which was popular in Tang now. Usually, no one drank the brewed tea. Not to mention that it was time-consuming. The taste was also not as good as the brewed tea. Of course, if one really wanted to set up a tea ceremony, it would also take a lot of time. However, if this was not a place that specialized in drinking tea, no one would set up a tea ceremony for you. The tea was very strong, but the tea leaves were not good tea leaves. When poured from the pot into the cup, there was still foam. However, the customer didn't care. If the tea was really good, he might feel that the taste was not strong enough. What he drank was bitter and astringent, like the taste of the tea leaves foam. Just as he blew on the tea and drank a mouthful, the male waiter and owner came back with a tray. This was very professional. Who in ordinary small stores would use a tray to serve food? Well, there is a tray. I also enjoy the feeling of eating in a restaurant. In the past, I usually ate in the wind-riding pavilion near the lake. Only then could I enjoy this treatment. You also have here, haha. The customer saw the tray and said with satisfaction, "Io, you're Brother Chow, right?" The man who put the dishes on the table was stunned and asked, "How did you know?" The person who was called Brother Chow was surprised. "How could I not know? The original Big Brother told me more than 3 times that there was a person called Chow Chow who always came to eat. Every time he came, he would talk about the wind-riding pavilion. Moreover, he recited a poem there. Although it was only one line, the mood was extraordinary. What was it called again? Oh, it was called The Rising and Falling Tides, Brother Chow." Hee hee. The waiter chuckled and appeared to be even more intimate. When Chow Chow heard this, he shook his head helplessly and said, "We didn't forget to mock me before you left for such a trivial matter. All right, Brother Chow it is. Is there something wrong with your dishes? I only asked for a plate of pig head meat, a plate of salt beans, and a bowl of yellow wine. You served 2 more dishes. Is this plate of dried tofu? And this plate of quinoa?" Yes, it's dried tofu and quinoa. Well, many people call it kimchi now. The 2 of us saw that there was still meat in the brine, so we put the dried tofu in and cooked it for a while. Then we took it out and cut it for you to try. Brother Chow, you are an old customer. It is normal to add 2 more dishes. I didn't know Brother Chow was coming. Wait a moment, I will go back. The waiter nodded and explained. Then he turned around and went back to the back. When Chow Chow was happy, he came back again with 2 more plates in his hands. He put them on the table one by one and said, "This is chicken wing tip, just right for the wine. This is pig skin salad. Although it is just skin, it is more fragrant than meat. Others who come in can't even order this dish. Io, how can I accept this?" Chow Chow showed an embarrassed expression. "Brother Chow, there is no need to be so polite with me. Although this is the first time we met, we still have a long way to go. You are an old customer, and you are used to the taste of the old dishes. You're already giving me face by coming in. Try it, and if you think it's still good, come often in the future. I will earn back the money." The waiter said with sincerity in his eyes. "Okay, I appreciate your kindness today. You are an honest person. What is your surname?" Chow Chow felt very comfortable in his heart. The waiter's words warmed his heart, and he was also an honest person. "My surname is Zhang, and my name is Sure. In the past, the people in the village called me Sure. The one standing at the counter is the one in the house. Originally, there were 2 children at home, but they were not around. It was more convenient to send their mother to school. If they really came over, it would not be easy to take care of them. Try it. The restaurant has just been taken over." The waiter smiled and said a lot of things about himself. Even before Chow Chow asked, he also said it. Chow Chow found that the waiter was really honest. He just needed to report his household registration. Hearing the waiter, he picked up a piece of pig head meat, dipped it in the soy sauce on the plate next to him, and put it in his mouth to chew. After chewing twice, his eyes widened and he stopped eating. Then he quickly ate 2 more mouthfuls. At the same time, his chopsticks kept working. In the blink of an eye, 5 pieces of pig head meat were in his stomach. He suddenly turned his head and said in surprise, "Sure, you opened a small restaurant with this kind of skill? It's a waste of talent. A waste of talent. To be honest, this plate of pig head meat is not expensive for 20 copper coins." "How can that be? It's still the same price as before, 11 copper coins." "Brother Chow, don't flatter me. Don't I know my own ability? It's good that you can eat." The waiter, Zhang Shi, rubbed his hands embarrassedly and said, "It's more than eating. That's good, I didn't lie to you. Alas, it's a pity. If you really go to a restaurant, I won't be able to eat. With your skill, I will come here often in the future. I will also tell others to come and eat." Chow Chow said as he went to taste other dishes. Every time he tasted something, he was surprised. "Brother Chow, you eat," the waiter said, turned around and went to the counter. He stood there without saying anything. In the end, Chow Chow drank 5 bowls of rice wine and paid the bill. He stood at the door and praised for a while before leaving. After he left, the waiter sighed. Seeing that it was still early, he guessed that no one would come in for a while. He went to the counter, pulled a stool, and sat down. He said to the hostess, "Wife, how is it? Your husband's skill is good, right? Did you hear that? People say that the pig head meat is usually worth 11 copper coins, but your husband's dish is worth 20 copper coins." The hostess pursed her lips into a smile and said, "He might be able to endure it. My husband is still the best." He made a plate of pig's head meat and sold it for 20 copper coins. In the future, when Li Longji eats it, we will ask him for that amount. This is a little difficult. 20 copper coins is considered a high price. Li Longji is a poor ghost. Not to mention 20 copper coins. He can't even afford 2 copper coins. Just bear with it and treat it as helping the poor. Did you see my makeup? The waiter raised his head and looked at the hostess. The hostess rolled her eyes and said, "You don't believe in my skill? Go and prepare all the dishes. It'll be noon soon, and it'll be time for people to serve. Don't be too busy. Every copper coin counts. Remember to mark the dishes that don't look good so that I can reduce the cost." People just praised you and said that you're an honest person. You can't lie and ruin your reputation. Yes, I will do it right away. Quick, it will be ready in a while. I can't help it. I'm like this. I have good skills and I am an honest person. I will never lie. I am born to be bullied, and I will be bullied for the rest of my life. The waiter walked to the back of the kitchen while talking. The hostess asked, "Who are you talking about?" "Customer. Am I not a waiter?" "I am a waiter, but I have to create opportunities for others. Do you think it is easy for me?" The waiter said and disappeared behind the door. Chapter 1066. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan ran to open a shop diagonally across from Wang Ju's house. They even disguised themselves as a married couple in their 30s. Even those who stayed in the inner courtyard of Hangzhou didn't know. Only those who left with them knew. But they couldn't send the news back, so they continued to sail in the direction of the capital. No one else knew what Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were doing. Only they knew what they were doing. They were going to the capital because they were afraid that someone from the other side would arrange people in the capital to make trouble. Once the news of the two of them returning spread, the other party would naturally shift their focus to avoid the two of them, or they would try to kill them on their way back. This was something that the other party would definitely do. Even Xiao Bei and the others would dare to do. Another reason was that the other side would feel that they had a chance when they left Hangzhou. As for buying the store, it was also to create opportunities for the other side. Zhang Xiaobao was the best at this. The highest level of deception was not to take the initiative to deceive people. It was to find a right target and make the other side come to him to be deceived. Whether it was successful or not depended on the means of operation. That was the purpose of buying a small store. Zhang Xiaobao worked hard. He tried his best to make everything delicious. He also changed the way the braised food store sold things. He didn't sell large pieces of meat by the dozen. Instead, he sold them separately. The braised chicken was cut into pieces and divided into chicken head, chicken neck, chicken wing tips, chicken heart, chicken thighs, claws, and so on. The pork was also divided in the same way, especially the pig head. The pig ears were bought at a high price from a butcher. Together with the pickles he made a few days ago, it could last for a few days. Now, he bought a new jar to make it. In addition to the above, there were all kinds of side dishes. They were placed on plates. Beside the counter, there was a shelf. The side dishes were all 1 copper coin per plate. The rice wine jar was also placed outside. There was a grape hanging on it. The wash bowls were placed on the side. Whoever wanted to drink could go and get a bowl. If the wine was good enough, no one would care if the wine was about to overflow. It was 3 copper coins per bowl. If he was willing to eat the side dishes, he would take a plate to the table or the narrow table. He would eat and drink while chatting, and when he was done, he would pay the bill when he left. As for the other dishes, they were also placed on the shelves. Plate by plate, there might be more on a certain plate or less on a certain plate. It was up to the customer to choose. Of course, Zhang Xiaobao would always place a plate that was obviously missing something. With that comparison, the other dishes would sell well. This was the psychology of consumers. Zhang Xiaobao was only responsible for wiping the table and cleaning up the dishes, while Wang Wan was in charge of accounting and replenishing the shelves. There was another job for Wang Wan. It was a new model in the restaurant. She could mix the dishes with the same price. For example, the chicken heart and pig ears would cost the same. If the customers didn't want to spend 2 sets of money to buy 2 plates, they could order the same dish and put it together. On the day that Brother Chow came, the business was pretty good by noon. Most of the customers were former customers. Zhang Xiaobao dealt with them with ease. He had specifically asked the previous customer about many things about the former customers. Although it was a scam, it had to be presentable. He couldn't lose his professionalism. If the business wasn't good, wouldn't it be a disgrace to his reputation as an international swindler? Most of the former customers were willing to come in and try the dishes. Only a small portion of them left when they saw the new customers. Some of them even asked where the original customers were, as they missed them very much. The food that Zhang Xiaobao meticulously prepared naturally wouldn't taste bad. When he selected the ingredients, he chose the best ones and was very careful. He only calculated the cost of the ingredients. Every time he sold a set, he would only get a profit of slightly more than 10%. As for the labor cost, it was impossible to calculate. It seemed that no one could give an answer to how much he and Wang Wan earned by working for an hour. The former customers who came to eat on the first day were all very satisfied. They went back to help advertise the restaurant. The next day, the business of the restaurant became popular. Since the restaurant opened in the morning, people who specifically heard the rumors and wanted to join in the fun had already come. After a quarter of an hour, the 4 tables were already full. Some people even sat together. As for the other long and narrow table, no one was willing to go there as they felt uncomfortable. After waiting for another hour, the long table was also filled with people. There was no other way. There was a lack of space, so they could only be particular about it. In the past, if they encountered such a situation, some people would find a place to stand and eat. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang were also busy. They kept wiping the tables, tidying up the bowls and chopsticks, and replenishing the food on the shelves. Batches of customers came and left. By noon, there was no place for them to stand. The taste of the food was indeed extraordinary. Many people felt that it was not worthwhile for to open a small store and that he should work as a chef in a restaurant. That way, he could earn more than what he was doing now. Compared to the past, not only was the taste better, but there were also more varieties. More importantly, the price was not expensive. The original items were the same as the previous ones, and the new ones were estimated to be of the same price. The restaurant was open for 2 consecutive days. On the 3rd day, more people squeezed in. Seeing that there was no place to eat, they packed and brought back to eat with their families or find a few friends to drink together. People said that the braised food was in the wind-riding restaurant, but it was in fact bought by the restaurant between the clouds and the water in Hangzhou. Xiaobao, it's been 3 days. I think the effect is almost there, right? Is it time to move on to the next step? After finishing the work on the 3rd day, the restaurant was closed at night. Zhang Xiaobao cooked 2 dishes and made several plates of braised food. When he was drinking and eating with Wang Wan moved her shoulders and asked Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao was also tired. At noon and in the evening, the two of them didn't have time to eat properly at all. Too many people came to buy food, and they all thought that they had taken advantage of the situation. The two of them only ate a few pieces of meat to fill their stomachs. Wang Wan's arms were tired, and Zhang Xiaobao's waist and legs were sore. After hearing Wang Wan's words, Zhang Xiaobao shook his head slightly. Let's wait for 2 more days. We have to let people see that we are really too busy. More importantly, our reputation is not big enough. We have to let Grandpa's family like our food, and then I'll adjust the ingredients. All right, let's work on the ingredients. In the end, I estimate that we will lose some money every time we sell a dish. The fishing association should be open in 2 days. Then, I'll ask Grandpa's family to buy the food. Starting from tomorrow, we will limit the sales or we will die of exhaustion here. Wang Wan nodded. After having some food and wine, she tilted her head and stared at Zhang Xiaobao for a while. Then she said, if you can really ask Wang Ju's family to buy the food and let Li Longji eat it, I'll admit that you're good at it. Otherwise, it will be a failure. I'll suffer for a few days with you. You have to pay me back. What do you mean by suffering? If it were someone else, they would be happy if their restaurant is so popular. This is money. I've decided to slightly raise the price of some of the food. Those who can afford it will eat it, and those who can't afford it will still eat the original food. Zhang Xiaobao was very confident, as if he were going to make the business of his restaurant a big hit. Eat now and take a rest. You have to go to the morning market tomorrow morning to buy things. After Wang Wan finished speaking, she lowered her head and ate quickly. When she was almost full, she thought of something and said, you should prepare something tonight. We'll eat together tomorrow. It's not worth it to open a shop with you and starve me to gastro problems. That's what I think too. As for the staple food, I'll make pancakes tomorrow morning. I'll buy some crabs and sea hares and roll them in the pancakes. I won't sell them to the people who come here for the braised food. Zhang Xiaobao finished the wine in the bowl. The two of them cleaned up quickly, took a cold shower, and slept next to each other in the bedroom. The next day, the store only opened at 4 in the morning. There were already people waiting anxiously outside, and there were even people knocking on the door. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan woke up at 6 in the morning. They went to buy some things first, and when they came back, they were busy again, just like real businessmen. The difference between the two of them and other people was that they had to spare some time to dress each other up. As soon as the door opened, people rushed in from outside. Some of them were packing, and some of them were looking for seats. They were all idlers who did not work and came here to eat. Some of the people who were packing were very unhappy and suggested to Zhang Xiaobao that they should open the restaurant earlier next time, as they still had something to do after they bought things. Zhang Xiaobao did not know what they were going to do. They came to buy things at 9 o'clock. Normally, if they had something to do, it would be too late to open the restaurant at 7 o'clock, which was 7 o'clock in the morning. He did not say this, but nodded and explained with a smile that they should open the restaurant earlier next day. It was a special situation today, and they were busy with other things. When the people who came in to eat saw the various kinds of food, they found that it was indeed so. There were new things added today, and some of them looked more delicate. It was just that the price was more than a little expensive. Some people would complain, but most of them could understand. The food in the restaurant was good to begin with, not to mention the more delicate ones. They had to make money, and they also had to make a living. At noon, some people who had earned money from their work in the morning and were not going to work in the afternoon came to drink some wine, eat some food, and buy some back home. They were done for the day. There were not many people like this, and most of them had to work for another day. Chow Chow, who came on the first day of the restaurant, also came today. When he saw Zhang Xiaobao, he smiled and said, "Sure too, good business. Brother Chow, I'm counting on your auspicious words. See, there's a person over there who is almost done eating. I'll reserve a seat for you. You can first see what you want to eat today." Zhang Xiaobao knew that Chow Chow was a helper at the docks. He was also a small leader. The main thing was that he knew a lot. Not only did he have strength, but he also knew how to use rope to make sailor knots, help with the packing, and arrange a place. He was much better than the average person, so there were more than 10 brothers who followed him. In the Hangzhou docks, he was also a little famous. The ships that often came to load and unload goods also liked to let him take over, even if he had to pay more. He was familiar with it, so they could rest assured. Therefore, he was more relaxed. When he had work to do, he could work for 2 days and earn a month's wages of others. The helpers at the docks were also divided according to their working ability. It was not just strength. When it came to skills, their value was naturally different. He didn't come for 2 days, probably because he had a good job. After 2 days of work, the sky was a little cloudy today. It looked like it was going to rain. He probably didn't plan to work. Zhang Xiaobao wanted to get more information from him, so his attitude was the most enthusiastic. As for waiting for the other person to finish eating and leaving a seat for him, that was because he came in the right order. Otherwise, it would be another story. Ordinary shop assistants didn't have such eyesight and skills, but Zhang Xiaobao's current profession was a swindler. A swindler had to be professional. It was the most basic professional quality. This profession was not something that anyone could do. The requirements were too high. It was very difficult to reach the highest level of a swindler who didn't think of himself as a swindler. After waiting for the other person to finish eating, Zhang Xiaobao arranged for Chow to go over. Similarly, he added 2 small plates of side dishes. After glancing at the situation in the restaurant, he felt that he wouldn't be busy for the time being, so he brought out another plate of food and went to Chow's side. "Brother Chow, I specially made some staple food. It's not for sale. I brought it over for you to try. It's all seafood," Zhang Xiaobao said with a smile. For a moment, Chow felt that his identity was different. He inadvertently looked at the other people who were eating. Under the different gazes, he also smiled and said, "Sure too. You are always too polite. It's embarrassing. I have to pay as much as I can. I can't let you do business at a loss." "Brother Chow, that's a long way to go. If I say that I'm not for sale, how can I give you money? When autumn comes, I think my 2 children will come. You can help them at the docks and find a stable boat. Then I will feel at ease. I can't trust others." Zhang Xiaobao proposed a matter. If he always gave others things without asking for anything in return, others wouldn't believe him. Sure enough, as soon as he said this, Chow was satisfied. He patted his chest and promised, "If you want to talk about other things, I might not be able to help you. Find a boat and get someone to bring it over. No problem, leave it to me. In the future, if you encounter anything related to boats, you can look for me." "Thank you. I'm afraid that I don't have any connections outside. In the future, I will rely on Brother Chow. Quickly try it." Zhang Xiaobao's performance was even better. He helped to roll up a pile of seafood and put it in front of Chow. He said, "These are all cheap things. Most people don't eat small crabs. Take a look." Chow didn't hold back. He took a bite. Before he finished chewing, his eyes widened. He nodded at Zhang Xiaobao and praised, "It's delicious. Why hasn't anyone made it before? It's fresh and fragrant." He couldn't think of more words to praise, so he spoke very loudly. It made the other people eat more attentively. Zhang Xiaobao certainly knew that it was delicious. It took a lot of effort. The small crabs were fried, the sea rabbits were blanched, and the small shrimp were boiled in chicken soup. There was also garlic sauce, Shanghai cabbage, and fresh water. All kinds of flavors were present. It would be strange if it wasn't delicious. This thing was specially made for later use. It was not sold in the restaurant to people who eat braised food. Hearing the praise, Zhang Xiaobao quickly said modestly, "Brother Chow, it's good that you think it's edible. I plan to make more and then wrap it in oil paper. In the morning, I will sell it to people who have free time to eat and play. For example, people on the lake, people who visit the scenery of West Lake, and fishing, sure too. Let me tell you, fishing people are also good. Recently, there's a fishing association in Hangzhou. It's full of rich people. I think the thing you make is good. Sell it to them." Zhang Xiaobao didn't need to say it himself. Chow followed Zhang Xiaobao's words and thought of this matter. Zhang Xiaobao felt that Zhang Xiaobao was very cooperative. "Brother Chow, I don't know him. If I were to look for him, the people around him would probably stop me from afar. Speaking of fishing, I do have some ideas. But you see, my shop sells braised food. I don't dare to say anything else, but when I make it, I really put my heart into it. You can't see the kind of greasy skin on the meat. Also, I sell braised big bones in my restaurant, but I never put the leftovers together and give them to others. I don't want to earn money. If there are leftovers, I just throw them away. In fact, it's good to use them for fishing. Wrap them in gauze, make a net, and half immerse them in water. When the small fish smell the greasy smell, they will naturally go into the net. When you lift the net, you can catch a lot of small fish. It's perfect to use them as bait. For example, if a few people gather together and put more bones in oil, it can become a nest. The big fish will also follow. The big fish also like to eat. There are also small fish. What do you think? I could sell a biscuit with seafood and give it away. It's useless to leave it here, so everyone will go fishing. It's not worrisome and convenient, but you can only buy it in the morning and eat it on the same day. If you eat it at night, you can't touch it, or you will get poisoned. As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he looked at Cao Cao with expectation in his eyes. His meaning was self-evident. Cao Cao was interested. He thought for a while and said to Zhang Xiaobao with a smile, "Good. Sure too. I didn't expect you to be so smart. You can come up with such a good idea. I don't fish, but I have a leader at the dock who is in charge of things. He joined the Angling Association and wants to know more people who can help him in the future. So, you prepare a few biscuits for me, and I'll take them to sea if he went out today. Let him taste them first. If he goes fishing in the afternoon, he can eat them in the evening. He has nothing to do all day. He just needs to charge us a few biscuits and take care of the warehouse near the dock." Okay, I'll prepare them right away. No matter if it's a success or not, I'm willing to accept you as my subordinate. In the future, when you come over, I'll pay for everything. If I charge you 1 copper coin, what's the point of saying that? Business is business. Do you think I'll deliberately come here to eat for free? We'll talk about the future later. Go and prepare. Before Zhang Xiaobao could finish his words, Cao Cao interrupted him. He looked very magnanimous, but his words were not. Zhang Xiaobao smiled honestly and trotted back to the back. After a while, he came out with a basket in his hand. He walked to Cao Cao and said, "I have 15 biscuits for you. There are 10 biscuits for fishing and 10 biscuits for a small roll of fine gauze net. You don't have to worry about it." The remaining 5 biscuits naturally belonged to Cao Cao. Moreover, he couldn't charge him. He was going to help deliver the biscuits. How could he dare to charge him? Seeing Zhang Xiaobao's performance, Cao Cao was even more satisfied. Zhang Xiaobao was sensible and knew what to do. Cao Cao nodded his head and promised a few more words. He finished the food as fast as he could and only drank 1 bowl of wine. When he stood up to pay the bill, Zhang Xiaobao tugged at him and refused. He pushed Cao Cao to the door and refused no matter what. After Cao Cao saw him out of the door, the diners in the restaurant began to ask about the biscuits. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a while and generously took out the biscuits. He gave each of them 1 biscuit for free. However, he said that he would only sell them out in the future, and the price would be very expensive. He asked people to help him find out who was fishing and recommend him. Today was his treat. Except for those who didn't like seafood, the diners all thought it was good. Whether they could recommend it or not, they at least said that they would recommend it. Cao Cao carried the basket out of the door and walked a mile in the direction of the dock. After thinking for a while, he directly took it. The manager thought that all the biscuits were for him. That wouldn't do. He had to leave 5 of his biscuits for his wife and children to try at home. Although Stone's restaurant was small, the food it made was really good. Last year, he followed the manager to a banquet at Wind Riding Pavilion. Now that he thought about it, it seemed to be much worse than Stone's restaurant, especially when it came to the same staple food, biscuits. How did Stone make them? They were thin and chewy. If he made a good relationship with Stone, his wife and children would have a good meal in the future. There was nothing to say about Stone's craftsmanship. Thinking of this, Cao Cao planned to find a shop and get something. He separated the biscuits in the basket and opened the lid. When he looked inside, he was stunned. In addition to a pile of oiled paper packets, there was also a cloth bag and a roll of gauze. He flipped through the paper packets on the right and didn't count them. There were about 20 of them. Then he carried the basket and took out the cloth bag. He opened the lid and saw that there were also more oiled paper packets. It looked like there were more than 5 of them. After looking through each one, he found that 5 of them were rolled biscuits. There was also a big one. Just by looking at it, he knew that it was definitely not pork. He lowered his head and sniffed the smell. He was shocked. It was actually donkey meat. It was a big piece, about 4 caddies. There were also 2 small packets. When he opened one, it was cold pork tendons. The other one was candy. When he saw those things, Chow Chow couldn't help but look back in the direction of the restaurant. He nodded silently and said to himself, "Stone is really a good person. He prepared everything and even gave me more. The candy is for my children. I have to do this no matter what. Otherwise, how can I have the face to eat in the future?" The next morning, Zhang Xiaobao opened the door at 8 o'clock in the morning. It was half an hour earlier than yesterday. The people who were waiting were very satisfied. Yesterday, he said that he should be early. Even if it was a quarter of an hour earlier, it was still giving face. Not to mention that it was half an hour earlier. Zhang Xiaobao yawned. It seemed that he didn't have a good rest. Wang Wan also had dark circles under her eyes. However, she still appeared to be very energetic. The customers came to eat, not to see how you look. Just as the 2 groups of people were about to eat, Chow Chow hurried in from outside. He anxiously said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Quick, Stone, hurry up. Prepare 20 portions. I'll give them to you immediately. I'll take them away." "How much?" Zhang Xiaobao and Wei Wei were stunned. They opened their mouths and asked, "Brother Chow, it's done. You don't trust me?" "Yesterday I went back just in time. The person in charge was going fishing in the afternoon. I gave him 10 portions. This morning, when I just arrived at the dock, he found me and said that he wanted 20 portions. He will leave immediately. You have to calculate how much it will cost." Chow Chow had taken care of the matter. He spoke with confidence. Zhang Xiaobao immediately turned around and went into the kitchen. After a while, he came out with a basket. He handed it to Chow Chow and said, "Brother Chow, you haven't eaten yet, right? I brought you a portion. It's free today. Starting tomorrow, it'll be 30 coins per portion. Today, I added something. Brother Chow, you work hard." Chow Chow didn't stand on ceremony with Zhang Xiaobao. He took the basket, nodded, and said, "Okay, 30 coins is not expensive. If you change to a different restaurant, your portion will be cheap for 300 coins. Then, I'll leave now." After he finished speaking, Chow Chow hurriedly left. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the other person's gradually disappearing figure. The corners of his mouth revealed a trace of a smile. Just like that, a day passed in a busy and dull manner. The next day, before Zhang Xiaobao could open the door, a knocking sound came from outside. Then, someone shouted, sure to, open the door. Quickly open the door. It's me, Chow Chow." Zhang Xiaobao was in the middle of cooking when he heard the noise. He came out from the back, unlatched the door, and let Chow Chow in. Chow Chow didn't come alone. He was followed by 2 people. As soon as he saw one of the 2 people following him, Xiaobao's heart calmed down. He had seen that person before. He was a servant from his grandfather's house. However, from the look in his eyes, he didn't seem to recognize him. "Sure to, don't pour tea. I don't have time to drink. Do you have anything? We'll come and get it. Also, give me 10 big bones. I'll give you 2 strings of money. You don't need to give me the change. Your basket can't be taken back. You can wrap it in cloth." Chow Chow quickly said when he saw that Zhang Xiaobao was going to pour tea. Zhang Xiaobao didn't refuse. He took the money, nodded, and turned back. After a while, he came back with 3 baskets, 1 for each person. There were also 3 cloth bags. He said, "Brother Chow, thank you for your hard work. Here are 3 baskets. You can eat them on the way." While speaking, he gave the 3 bags to the 3 people. Chow Chow didn't say anything, but the 2 people's eyes lit up. When they looked at Zhang Xiaobao again, they felt that he was much more pleasing to the eye. They took the baskets and walked out. When they reached the door, the servant of Zhang Xiaobao's grandfather turned around and said, "Prepare 100 baskets before noon. Someone will come and get it. Pay when the time comes. Don't forget. Otherwise, you can't afford to be punished." 100 baskets? Brother Chow, so many people are fishing? Zhang Xiaobao asked Chow Chow with a surprised look. Wang Ju stared at him and scolded. Just do what I ask you to do. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. It won't do you any good to know too much. Let me tell you, the baskets made at noon can only be better than yesterday's. Otherwise, be careful of your head. Do you hear me? I hear you. I hear you. Yes, you did well. Otherwise, be careful of your head. Take care, take care. Zhang Xiaobao repeatedly bowed and nodded. But in his heart, he thought angrily, Brat, I can't teach you a lesson now, but you dare to teach me a lesson? Wait for me. I'll let you know who is the one who is careful of their head. After sending the servant away, Zhang Xiaobao let out a long breath. He didn't close the door. He put the things in place and walked to the back. He said to the busy Wang Wan, Okay, there's one last step. Let's see what the other party will do. I'm afraid they are stupid. Wang Wan took the last bit of food out of the pot and asked, Grandpa's family is here? Yes, that brat still dares to scold me. If it was the inner courtyard of our family, he would definitely not speak like that. If he offends people for no reason, it will cause trouble for the main family. I'll ask my grandpa to teach him a lesson. I'm not deliberately taking revenge. Zhang Xiaobao picked up the big pot, turned to the shelf outside, and began to put new things. Wang Wan pursed her lips into a smile and said, I know. You're not seeking revenge. You're helping that kid. He's grateful to you for being beaten up. You used the most direct method to show him the way of life. You're as great as a lighthouse in the dark night of the sea. Madam knows me best. Why am I so kind? I plan to buy a big mirror and put it in the bedroom. The first thing I do when I wake up every morning is to kowtow to myself in the mirror. Zhang Xiaobao said with a smile. Chow Chow and the other two went out, each carrying a basket. Chow Chow's status was much lower than the other two's. He wanted to help them carry the baskets several times, but they refused, saying that he carried too many things and walked too slowly. They were afraid of wasting time. On the way, the three opened the cloth bags. They did not eat breakfast. The two's cloth bags were filled with seafood and a bag of salty pig ears. In addition to these two things, Chow Chow's cloth bag also had a few notes. Chow Chow secretly glanced at the two and checked the amount of money. There was a total of 350 copper coins. After calculating, he took out 1,500 copper coins, which was the usual 5 cents for the rolls and 15 cents for the 10 large bones. The remaining 350 copper coins were all given to him by Shi Tu. He did not even take the money in the basket. While feeling grateful, Chow Chow was puzzled. Why did Shi Tu prepare so many baskets? Did he know that he would come to take a lot of things? The cloth bags were also the same. Usually, when they were packed, they would just wrap them in oil paper and tie them to others. Was it specially prepared for him? Chow Chow stealthily put the money into his pocket. He was even more determined to get customers for the store. Today, he had earned 350 copper coins, which was enough for him to work for 6 to 7 days. If it were someone else, it would take more than half a month or even a month's worth of wages. The other two did not know that Chow Chow had received money and also thought that the food was delicious. They had never eaten it before. Yesterday, they only heard that it was delicious. When they came today, they planned to buy one for themselves. They did not expect that the other party would be so considerate and give them a set of pig ears. After the three finished eating, they sped up and sent the baskets to the side of West Lake, where there was a place specially used for fishing. Naturally, someone would take the baskets and use silver needles to test for poison. Someone even took out a roll and ate it. When noon came, if they did not feel uncomfortable, they could give it to others. At this time, the weather was still a little cold, but there were still many people gathered under the shade of the trees. Wang Ju was leading the group, talking and laughing with the others. From time to time, he would introduce the use of fishing equipment. Beside him, there was a man wearing a bamboo hat. He was silent and did not raise his head. Compared to yesterday, the number of guards in the surroundings had more than doubled. It seemed that there were guards everywhere. When Wang Ju was talking to others, he would occasionally glance at this person. He seemed to be very careful. When the food was delivered, They planned to eat it at noon, but the man wearing the bamboo hat said, "Give me one to try first. I want to see how good it is." "Okay, but the person who tested it just..." Wang Ju agreed and then hesitated. "It's just a braised food store. The owner of the store would not poison it. Give me one. Besides, the doctor is next to him. What are you afraid of?" The man wearing the bamboo hat said again. Okay. Wang Ju took a deep breath and asked someone to bring the food over. He opened a few oil paper bags and picked out a good-looking roll. He held it with both hands and handed it over. The man in the bamboo hat received the cake and took a bite. Then he slowly chewed and swallowed a mouthful. He smacked his lips twice and praised, "Good craftsmanship. The cake is baked well. It's not inferior to the cakes of you. Jinyu Restaurant." "That's right, Jinyu Restaurant. They specialize in selling cakes. Also, the ingredients inside are all processed in different ways. Opening a small shop is really a waste of talent." "Yes, it's a waste of talent. When I ate it yesterday, I also thought so. Why not go to your place? Do you specialize in making things?" Wang Ju suggested. The man wearing the bamboo hat shook his head. "There's no need. No matter how good his food is, I can't eat better. It's not like you don't know who makes the food I usually eat. It's a pity that I won't be able to eat it for a while. Ask the person in the store what else he knows how to make." Yes. No matter how good his food is, it won't work. If it's brought to the house, every time we eat it, we have to test it for poison first. Hot food will be cold by the time it's ready to eat. Besides, the food he makes is just average." Wang Ju followed up. When the people around them heard the conversation, they had already guessed who the man wearing the bamboo hat was. It seemed that the only person who could make Wang Ju so respectful was the people who guessed it all became nervous and excited. Chapter 1067. The customers who passed by and came to eat the braised food were very clear about how the business of the store was doing. As soon as the notice was written and put out, those who had not found a satisfactory job or were working as waiters in other stores all had their own ideas. It did not matter if they were illiterate. Naturally, there would be literate people who would explain to others after seeing the notice. Being able to read was also a symbol of status. There were even parents who borrowed their children from school and brought them to the door to let them read aloud to them. In fact, they were showing off to others that their children were literate. The content of the notice was very simple. There were two big words at the top, hiring. Below that, there was a row of requirements. One of them was that they must be no younger than 16 and no older than 25. The other was that they must be able to endure hardships. They must work at least 18 hours a day. If necessary, they might have to work more. However, there was no limit to their experience. Even if they had not worked elsewhere before, they could still work as waiters. This time, a total of 4 waiters were recruited. They were responsible for the chores in the store and the delivery of food. The salary would be determined according to the situation of the job. However, the basic salary was 5 copper coins a day. As for the other rewards, it was uncertain at the moment. There would be a trial period of 3 days. 8 people would be recruited. In the end, 4 people would be retained. However, before the trial period, 50 people could be allowed to come in contact with the manager. After seeing the contents of the notice, many people who had ideas shook their heads and left. They felt that the working time was too long. 18 hours a day was the minimum, leaving only 6 hours for rest. Working in the store was too tiring. If the salary was higher, it would be fine. However, it was only 5 copper coins a day and less than 150 copper coins a month. It was clearly bullying. As for the rewards mentioned above, it was not up to the boss. If the boss said to give it to you, then it would be given. If the boss did not want to give it, then he could just find a random reason to keep the money. If it was 10 years ago, 100 copper coins a month would be a job that everyone would fight to do. However, it was not 10 years now. Just find something to do, and it would be more than 100 copper coins a month. Even if a child was willing to study hard and be ranked in the top 10 in school, they would still be rewarded with more than 100 copper coins or items. 150 copper coins truly can buy many things. If it's just oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar, tea, and grain, 100 copper coins is enough for a family to live well for a month. But in the Great Tang, we don't just need to eat our fill, we need to eat well, right? How can 100 copper coins be enough to buy a mirror, 2 sets of comfortable clothes, and some delicious meat? Among the people who were reading the notice, some of them began to talk. A person wearing fine linen and waving a folding fan in his hand spoke to the people next to him in a loud voice. The surrounding people nodded in agreement. Someone even added, "Isn't that so? More is more. I heard that the things they buy are the property of the rich compared to the things they buy in Xinhua. The money we Tang people earn in a day's work can take at least 10 days to buy the things they need to buy. But we're not from Xinhua. We're from the Great Tang. How can a country be the same as a country? It's too little. If it were me, I wouldn't go. I'm already past my prime." There were many such voices, but there were still people who were willing to stand there. Most of them were people who met the age requirement. Perhaps they thought that doing things for 18 hours was not the same as doing things for 18 hours, so they still had time to spare. Most importantly, by becoming a waiter, they might have the opportunity to come into contact with the delicious recipes of the braised food shop. If they could learn it, wouldn't they be able to find a place further away and open a small shop as well? When it was time to close at night, the people had been recruited. There were less than 50 people. The wages and working hours of the braised food shop made many people shrink back. A total of 31 people stood at the door, waiting for the shopkeeper to take a look. Zhang Xiaobao looked like he was about to die of exhaustion. He supported his waist with his hands and stood at the door with a grin. He said to Wang Wan beside him, "No matter what, I have to recruit people today. If I work for another 2 days, I'll lose 10 years of my life. I can't take it anymore." Yes, we have to recruit people today. I'm tired too. Wang Wan frowned and said. Her eyes swept over the 31 people, and she waved her hand and said, "Enough, come in with me. I want to take a good look and see which one is pleasing to the eye." As she spoke, she and Xiaobao turned around and went in. 31 people rushed in, and each one of them found an empty spot to stand. Zhang Xiaobao put down his hands that were supporting his waist, smiled honestly, and spoke first. "Others call me Stone. My surname is Zhang. I don't think you're old, so don't keep calling me boss. I'm an honest person. As long as you can work, it's fine. In the future, call me Brother Zhang." Haha, it sounds more intimate. I'll go prepare some braised food for you to eat. Let's eat some. Okay, go quickly. Before Zhang Xiaobao could finish speaking, Wang Wan pushed him into the back kitchen. When the 31 people heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, their hearts relaxed. They felt that this boss was not bad. He was honest, and he wanted to give them some braised food. They thought that in the future, their work in the shop would not be too hard. At least, there would be no problem in eating, just as this idea appeared in their hearts. But before it could germinate and grow into a towering tree, Wang Wan's face became cold, and she said to them, "Look at you. What are you doing here? Are you VIP? Let Stone make Lu Wei for you. Your eyes are so big, can't you see life? Didn't you see that the people just left, and the things on the table haven't been cleaned up? Stand by the side, clean up the bowls and chopsticks on the table, and send them to the back. 2 more people go to the back to wash the dishes. The others set the table and swept the floor." A few people went to the door. There were still people outside who threw things. The shop's face is face. Go and clean it up. What are you looking for? No broom? Don't you know how to pick it up with your hands? Are you VIP? Let me tell you, if you work in my shop, you have to be diligent. You have to have work in your eyes. Don't stay in my shop if you're all stupid. I'll say this. If you don't want to work, leave as soon as possible. If you want to continue, do your work immediately. I don't keep idlers in my shop. Hurry up. What are you looking at me for? Go and work. For a moment, most of the 31 people felt the warmth in their hearts was suppressed by the 1,000-year-old ice. At that moment, 14 people glared at Wang Wan and walked out of the shop angrily. They did not forget to turn around and spit twice. They also left while cursing. The remaining 17 people temporarily endured and began to look for things to do. There was strength in numbers. Soon, the whole shop was cleaned up. The tables were also wiped clean with a cloth. There was also no other debris at the door. The sound of dishes being washed came from the back of the kitchen. The person washing the dishes was puzzled. The shop was not big, but there were many bowls. Other small shops only bought bowls according to the number of tables. The bigger shops used porcelain bowls. However, although the braised food shop was not big, there were hundreds of plates, bowls, and chopsticks. It was unknown what the owner and female owner were thinking after saving for an entire day. At this moment, Zhang Xiaobao came out of the kitchen. Very timely, the others had finished their work. He came out with a basin full of various kinds of braised food. When they saw the braised food, other than the person washing the dishes who was still busy and anxious, the others revealed a happy expression and waited for the food to be served. Ha ha, ha ha ha. Have you been waiting for a long time? I don't know what you want to eat. I thought for a while and decided. Give me a little of each. Eat all of them. It's clean? That's great. You're quite diligent. In the future, I'll leave the shop to you. Eat all of them. The basin that Zhang Xiaobao carried was not small. It seemed to be at least 8 kilograms. He was still as simple and honest as before. The people who did not wash the dishes were about to take the basin and put it on the table to eat when Wang Wan spoke again. Stone, what do you think they are? They are not masters who eat. They are shop assistants. Can't you cut some skin? Look, what is this? Pig's ears. You actually gave them pig's ears. What should I say about you? Are they people who eat pig's ears? Do they have that kind of life? Take out the chicken heart, chicken liver, and liver. Keep the broken pieces and take away the rest. Yo, you prodigal stone. Chicken wings. You are so generous and rich. Don't you know how much a chicken wing costs? What kind of life am I living with you? Do you treat people as family members when you catch them? Let me tell you, if I don't exist in this house, you will starve to death. Don't you know how to settle accounts? Wang Wan's words made the people in the shop confused again. They finally understood that the owner was not bad, but the female shopkeeper was different. The owner was usually bullied by the female shopkeeper. What a pity, what a good owner. They thought that if they knew that the idea was thought of by the seemingly simple and honest owner in front of them, they would probably bang their heads against the wall. They would not stop until they were bleeding and knocked out. The person who was about to take the basin looked at the basin and stood there awkwardly. He did not know whether to take it or not. If he took it, the female shopkeeper said that there was something valuable in it. It would make it seem like he had to eat it. If he did not take it, the owner would be holding it. Wang Wan glared at the person who was about to take the basin. What are you looking at? Still looking? Quickly take it and put it on the table. Carefully pick out the things that you shouldn't eat with your chopsticks. Stupid. After she finished speaking, she watched the person go to take the basin. Wang Wan turned around and went back to the kitchen. Then, the people outside heard a voice coming from inside. Washing the dishes, not smashing the dishes. Why are you making such a big noise? Even people standing outside the shop heard it. What? Are you planning to change your profession? Go and be a musician. I'm not talking about you guys. You're so clumsy. I'll say it here today. If you break a plate, 5 copper coins. If you break a pair of chopsticks, 2 copper coins. If you break a plate, 3 copper coins. If you break a bowl, 10 copper coins. In the future, it will be paid from your wages. No one is allowed to be lazy. Who washed the plate? This plate in the basin come out. You? Are you blind? You still have the face to stand out. Do you see the oil on the plate? Hey, you dare to use a rag to wipe it? Who are you kidding? Wash it again for me. If it's not clean, I won't give you any food in the morning. I still say the same thing. If you can't do it, leave early. Don't wait for me to chase you away. I'm annoyed. You over there, change the water. You want to wash all the dishes with a basin of water? Lazy. Go to the back and get the water. When the voice stopped, Wang Wan walked out and continued to glare at the people. She found a place to sit and crossed her legs. Her voice was not loud, but could be heard muttering, I don't see a smart one. Stupid as hell. In my opinion, 5 copper coins a day is more than enough. Humph. This family will be ruined sooner or later. Eat, eat. Everyone who sees food becomes spirited. After she finished speaking, the whole restaurant became quiet. After 10 breaths, some people came out of the kitchen. Some people were originally outside. Suddenly, 9 people left. They were not even willing to spit. They just looked back at the 6 people left and shook their heads. They meant to say that they had offended such a female boss. Zhang Xiaobao also stopped picking things out of the basin with his chopsticks. He stood up, rubbed his hands, and squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying. He said awkwardly, This is not enough for 8 people to try it out. There's still 2 missing. What are you talking about? 3-legged toads are hard to find, but 2-legged toads are everywhere. There are only 6 left. That's enough. You 6, don't eat first. Go and wash the dishes in the kitchen. We'll talk when you come back. I'm telling you, I've already washed them. After Wang Wan finished speaking, she coldly snorted and walked towards the bedroom. When she arrived at the back door, she stopped and said without turning her head, Sure too, pick out the food and put it away properly. If I find out that you dare to give them food, you can sleep with them on the table and stools outside at night. Don't forget to heat up the bath water. You're making me sweat all over. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the door where Wang Wan disappeared. He raised his hand and patted his forehead. Then, he said to the remaining 6 people, Don't look so fierce. In fact, she's a good person. That, each of you have a taste first. Then, quickly wash the dishes. We'll eat later. The 6 people looked at each other. 5 of them walked towards the kitchen. The kitchen was not very big. It was a little crowded with 5 people. The last person looked at Zhang Xiaobao and asked, Brother Zhang, are we sleeping here tonight? Isn't there a special place for us to stay? I used to make soup pancakes in other shops. If you want to use me, can you find a place for me to stay? Sleeping on the table and chairs won't help me get tired. Okay, there's another room that's empty. It used to be a place for storing sundries. That family moved away, so it's empty. Soup pancakes are good. Actually, go ahead and walk along the street. The shop in front is not bad. The owner is also good. If you want to be an apprentice, you can go there. Zhang Xiaobao could see that this person was not lying. However, he understood the situation of his shop. If this person had some ambition, he would really stay in the shop. It would be a hindrance to him. Therefore, he wanted to show this person the way to the shop where he learned the soup pancakes from. Of course, if the person in front of him thought that his skills were good and did not want to be an apprentice in someone else's shop, then it was his own business. The person who asked the question understood. After thinking for a while, he said to Zhang Xiaobao with embarrassment, Brother Zhang, then I go. Wait a minute. As he spoke, Xiaobao took a piece of oil paper and went to the table to wrap up a large bag of braised food. There were all kinds of food. He handed it over and said, Bring it over to eat. Get your new boss. He's looking for an apprentice. You'll definitely be able to do it. Brother Zhang, I don't want it. When this person was about to say that he did not want it, Wang Wan came back from the door. When she saw the situation here, she wanted to say something. However, Zhang Xiaobao and Wei Wei shook their heads. Wang Wan swallowed what she wanted to say and pretended that she did not see it. She said to Zhang Xiaobao, I was over there just now. Why did I hear you say that you want to let them live in the empty room? There will be more and more people in the future. Don't we need to prepare things at home? If you let them live there, will they put the things? They can sleep outside. It's not cold. I'll go out and buy some old summer mats and a few old blankets. They can sleep on anything. It's fine as long as they can sleep. If they can't sleep, they can only say that they are not sleepy. After that, Wang Wan went out. He did not know where she was going to buy old things. It was already late. Go, you go too. The soup pancake shop can't be closed now. He does business almost 24 hours a day. He is not afraid of closing it. Knock on the door. Someone inside can show you. I guess someone is thinking about making new soup pancakes. Zhang Xiaobao stuffed the wrapped things to the person and said, This person was not stupid. He saw Zhang Xiaobao shaking his head just now. He suddenly found that this shop was not what it looked like. The owner had to listen to his wife, but his wife was like that. However, she did not care about the things that were given out. It was very strange. He took the owner and walked out. When he reached the door, he turned back and said to Zhang Xiaobao, Brother Zhang, I know you are a good person. Okay, go. Don't give me the card. Zhang Xiaobao waved his hand. This person left, but he kept thinking, what card? Could it be that he was playing the Monopoly game? Of course, he did not know what Zhang Xiaobao meant by shaking his head. He was telling Wang that there was no need to chase this person away. He was leaving and did not fit the target. After a while, Zhang Xiaobao also went out and put away the recruitment sign at the door. He had achieved his goal. If there was no target among the remaining 5 people, it would be useless to put up a recruitment sign. It would only cause more trouble. There would be more people coming to ask about it. Then, he would have to think of a way to chase them away. It was very tiring. After a while, the remaining 5 people came out of the kitchen. The bowls and chopsticks were also washed. Let's eat. Come and eat. Tonight, you guys can eat first. I will think of a way to find a place to stay. Zhang Xiaobao asked them to come over and eat. Of course, he picked the leftover braised food that was not good. He himself used a wine stick to boil a pot of wine. There were about 300 grams of ginseng wine. There were all kinds of important ingredients in it. When Wan came back, they would drink some to warm their bodies and improve their blood circulation. Although both of them were in good health, they were tired after a few days. Not only were they tired physically, but they were also tired mentally. While there was still time, he ran to the kitchen and fried mutton with scallions and cucumbers with garlic. When Wan came back, he also made a big bowl of radish soup. In fact, he knew that Wan liked to drink shredded potatoes, but he could not get any potatoes now. As for the staple food, it was biscuits used to collect seafood. He took out a lot of biscuits and gave them to the 5 people who were working. The 5 people ate the braised food with different expressions. Some were surprised, some were thinking, some were curious, and some were indifferent. But when they saw the boss coming out of the kitchen and smelled the food, they all had the same expression, which was puzzlement. Just by smelling the food, they knew that the boss in front of them was good at cooking. Why did he only make braised food? Couldn't he add stir-fried food? It seemed that the boss knew what they were thinking, and it seemed that he was willing to talk more. When they looked at the boss, he spoke. Actually, I would like to cook stir-fried food, but there are not enough people. Today, you guys eat braised food and biscuits. When I have time, I will cook something else for you guys. I am really tired today. Brother Zhang, don't worry. From tomorrow onwards, you won't be tired anymore. We are here, a waiter said with a smile. The other 4 people also smiled and nodded. Then, when they looked at the person who spoke, there was a different meaning in their eyes. After a while, Wan came back with a person behind her. This person was carrying a bag. As soon as they entered the door, Wan stared at them and shouted at them. Are you blind? Don't you see there is work? Eat to death. All you know is to eat. Lazy people, come here. Who are you waiting for instead of packing your own things? Then, she walked to the counter and took out 2 coins. She walked back to the door and gave them to the person who came back with the bag. Here, what 3 coins? Look at how slow you are walking. You wasted my time. I will deduct 1 coin. We agreed on 3 coins. If it was 2 coins, I wouldn't come. How can you only give me 2 coins? It is not easy for me to do this job. 2 coins. Do you want it? If you don't want it, you can carry it back. I don't need you. I will ask the waiter to carry it. 3 coins is to come back quickly. Look at how long you have been walking. I think 2 coins is too much. If you don't want it, I will take it back. Wan did not wait for him to finish. She began to find excuses to deduct 1 coin. The other party was also an honest person. He sullenly took the money and left without looking back. The 5 people who were recruited understood even more how stingy this female boss was. She actually dared to bully even a person who was resistant to death. Move faster. Don't make dust everywhere. Don't think that you are cleaning. We still have to eat here. You all have problems. Wan changed the topic and fired at the 5 people. The 5 people endured and carefully took the things back. They did not dare to untie the rope. They had to wait for their boss to finish eating. When they returned to their seats, they looked at Wan. They wanted to sit, but did not dare to. Why are you looking at me? Why don't you stop eating? Go sit on the side. Huh? Pie. Sure too. You gave them pie? You forget it. You're tired today. Your body won't be able to take it if you do anything else. Let them have it easy. From tomorrow onwards, let them choose someone to do their own thing. I'll decide what they do and what they use. Wan said a few more words. Then she sat opposite Zhang Xiaobao and ate. She did not forget to glare at Zhang Xiaobao. She meant to say, you came up with the idea, and now I'm the bad guy. Are you satisfied? Zhang Xiaobao winked at Wan. He picked up the hot wine, poured it into a small cup, and pushed it in front of Wang Wan, indicating that she should drink. In the presence of outsiders, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan would not talk about other things. They talked about the trivial matters in the shop, such as how the chopsticks were old, how they should have saved the money for the chopsticks when they bought the shop, how one of the table legs was too short, and how they should find something to cushion it. The 5 people who were hired felt that it was normal. However, they did not know that the people who were talking about the trivial matters in the shop would be studying the political, military, economic, cultural, and other things of the Tang dynasty if they were in a different environment and identity. But now, they were so ordinary that they couldn't be any more ordinary. No matter how you looked at them, they were a couple who ran a couple's restaurant. The male owner had a wife who ran around. The wife was very scheming, while the male owner was honest, simple, and honest. Furthermore, he was a good cook. After they finished eating, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan naturally went to the back to take a shower. The 5 people who were hired did not have this privilege. They did not dare to squeeze in, so they could only wash their faces casually. They did not even dare to brush their teeth. They could only deal with it today. That night, Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao lay on the bed. Although Hangzhou was very hot this month, they did not like to sleep on a summer mat. The main reason was that there was no good summer mat. The ordinary summer mat was spread under the bed. If they slept on it, there would be marks on their bodies. Zhang Xiaobao did not mind the heat. He put an arm under Wang Wan's head, controlled his breathing, and listened carefully. Wang Wan was also listening. After a while, the 2 of them looked at each other. Xiaobao said, "It's actually 5 of them. I can tell from their eyes that you did that. If you can still tolerate it, you must have some ulterior motive. Also, when I saw them eating just now, they didn't look like they were faking it. The only one who looked like it was from our family. I'm so disappointed. You know, sometimes it's lonely without an opponent. Now, I finally understand what it means to be cold at a high place. It's very reasonable under normal circumstances. Under normal circumstances, for every 1,000 meters, the temperature drops by 6 degrees. If you go any higher, you will fly out of the atmosphere. Although it's called a high place, it can actually be said that the earth is above your head. It depends on your body posture. If it were not for the fact that the intelligence system at home could not find out, why would we bother? Sigh. The other party did not give it for nothing. They actually forced you to do it personally. They should be proud." Wang Wan continued Zhang Xiaobao's words. The purpose of her coming out with Zhang Xiaobao was very simple. First, it was to make the other party in Beijing vigilant and change the idea of causing trouble in Beijing. Even if it was to reduce the danger, it was fine. Second, it was to let the other party in Hangzhou think that Hangzhou was temporarily empty. They could see that the other party had always been treating them as a real opponent. These 2 points were achieved. Third, it was to create an opportunity to open her own restaurant. Then, she would let the food into Wang Ju's house and be valued by Li Longji and the others. Then, her family would buy things from her restaurant. The 2 of them were tired, but they definitely did not say that they were tired to the extent that they showed. This was not a problem at all. Even if they were a few times more tired, they could still bear it. When sleeping at night, the 2 of them could quickly enter a deep sleep state. They could do it through a long-term training habit and psychological suggestion. For someone like her, she was a genius to begin with. Furthermore, she had the support of her family, so the training she received was the strongest and most professional. When it came to her own Bawang flower training, the most basic thing was not fighting, or firearms. The most basic training for her was makeup, nutrition, and sleep. Shooting and fighting were the next level. The selection of Bawang flower was not based on a person's hard work. Instead, it included talent when it was eliminated. As for Xiao Bao's talent, there was no need to talk about it. The early learning and training were all part of the foundation. Later on, when he had money, he found someone to learn from, and it was more powerful. The 2 of them were like this. The reason they could not endure it was to make others feel that it was normal. Then, they would recruit people. Naturally, if the other party had influence in Hangzhou and was smart enough, they would definitely think of ways to enter the Braised food store. This was because the store could send things to Wang Ju's family. This was the most important point. From the looks of the people they recruited today, they had succeeded. The other party was ambitious, and there were people in Hangzhou. As expected, people came. The only thing they did not expect was that 5 people came at once. They were all people who did not come for the salary, but for a certain purpose. Even their own family's intelligence organization had sent someone over. He was not bad and knew the key to this place. It was just that the other party did not recognize the two of them. It was very simple for the two of them to recognize him. As long as the intelligence personnel's ability had not reached the level of perfection, they would never be able to get rid of the traces left behind by their training. Every training system had its own training methods. Therefore, this kind of training concept would be directly reflected on the trainees. Of course, the other party also did not recognize the two of them. He was not in the inner courtyard with the two of them every day. He was far from that special magnetic field reaction of the body. Why was it said that some couples who had been together for a long time could know what the other party was thinking with just a look, a movement, or even when the other party was not doing anything? Besides being used to it, it was also because they had adapted to each other's magnetic field fluctuations. At first, they thought that Zhang Xiaobao was making a fuss over nothing and that the strategy he used would not have any effect. Unexpectedly, they really caught the fish. Thinking of this, Wang Wan said to Zhang Xiaobao again, "When it comes to deceiving people, you are really good at it. How did you know that they would take the bait?" "How would I know? There is no 100% certainty in deceiving people. It has never happened before. If one plan does not work, another plan can be made." When the time comes, we will arrange for the 5 of them to sleep there. They can fight and play among themselves. Let's help our person and make him feel better. Rent a house? Why don't we buy it? Oh, right. We are people who don't have money. If we buy it directly, people will be suspicious. It is fine to rent it. I have seen the courtyard. There are 2 courtyards at the front and back. The front courtyard is bigger and is about 30 square meters. The back courtyard is about 16 square meters. There are 3 rooms. Wang Wan leaned her head on Zhang Xiaobao's body and closed her eyes. Zhang Xiaobao did not continue to listen to the movements outside and also fell asleep. The 2 of them fell asleep, but the 5 people outside could not sleep. 5 people and 4 big tables were put together into a place where 2 people could sleep. The other 3 people naturally had to sleep on the ground. In order to be able to sleep on the ground, the 5 of them had a competition. The main reason was that they could sleep on the ground with the other 2 people. They could talk to each other softly and improve communication. This was a rare opportunity because at the end, one person had to leave. The other party only said that they would recruit 4 people, but now there were 5 people. No one wanted to leave, not even the organization that had 2 people in. 2 people were not a lot. It would be better if all 5 of them were. 1 more person meant 1 more helper, not to mention the other 3 people. In the end, the 4 tables were put together, and the 2 people sleeping on the table were also close to each other. Then the problem was solved. The 5 of them also said their ages and surnames. Unexpectedly, 4 of them were Zhang and 1 was Wang. No one knew what they were thinking. It seemed that these 2 surnames gave people the feeling that they were more common. The only one with the surname Wang was an intelligence agent of the Zhang family and the Wang family. His surname was Wang, and he followed the main family surname. As for whether the other 4 were really surnamed Zhang, he did not care. Because one of the 2 was there, he did not win the competition, so he was squeezed at the table with the other person. On the first day, sleeping time naturally would not be wasted. The 3 people below were lying there and whispering. The intelligence agent of the Zhang family and the Wang family was called Wang Gang. He did not need to fake his name. This name was so common that many people would give it, just like Wang Wan's name. He said to the person next to him, who was called Zhang Yu, "Third brother, I think that although the restaurant is small, the food is really good. I ate braised meat at night, and now I feel hungry again, so I ate a lot. I ate 3 pieces of the pancakes. What do you think?" Zhang Yu was facing up. When he heard Wang Gang's words, he nodded. He did not care about the pain in his neck and responded, Yes, I think so too. "Second brother, where are you from? You don't sound like a local." "Not a local. I came from Hunan. which is far away from Hangzhou. Third brother, what do you think of the female boss? Wang Gang replied and asked again. Zhang Yu pretended to think, and then said, she is very good. I have seen many people like her. In fact, they're not bad. He did not dare to say bad things. There were 5 people now. If someone said bad things behind his back, the people below would hear it. If 3 people said bad things, even if he had a helper, it would be very troublesome. After saying this, he asked Wang Gang again, you live in Henan. Why did you come to Hangzhou? It's a long story. Ah, third brother, where are you from? You don't sound like a local. Wang Gang saw that the other party did not say bad things about the female boss, but asked him instead. He was vigilant in his heart, thinking that the other party was not so simple. Me? I'm from Jianan East Road. Later on, I fled to Jiangnan West Road, and then came here. It's been 3 years, but I can't change my accent. It sounds different to you. How long have you been here? Did you just come here? It was not warm in your place for the first 2 months. Zhang Yushi was talking to Wang Gang while listening to what was going on below. Just as he finished asking, he heard someone talking about the seafood burrito for fishermen. Then he added, I don't know if we can taste that burrito. Everyone says it's delicious, but it's too expensive. It costs 30 coins. It's not easy to earn money. Brother, have you ever seen one? The brother he was talking about was the one who was with him, but he thought that the other people did not know that the name this person said was Zhang Yi. When Zhang Yi heard the other party's words, he understood that the other party was lying on the table and did not have much gain. So he asked for help. So he replied, I don't know either. Second brother, where did you live in Hangzhou? Look, I'm still lying on the table. Actually, it's good that you're here. You're older than us, so it's only right for you to sleep on the table. The floor is cold, and there's only a mat. It's damp, so why don't we change? Wang Gang was facing other people's questions again, so he just said one sentence lightly. How could he not understand the principle of saying too much is bound to make mistakes? To tell a lie, he needed to tell more lies. It was always easy to inadvertently reveal a loophole. After answering Zhang Yi, he said to the 2 people on his left and right, Fourth brother, fifth brother, help me to persuade the eldest brother. Before fourth brother and fifth brother could say anything, Zhang Yi laughed and said, Second brother, I am only 3 months older than you. I am not old at all. Ha ha, second brother, why don't we think about who will go out to deliver things and who will stay in the shop? Then we could tell the boss. You tell us first, and we will listen. If you want me to say, after saying these 4 words, Wang Gang acted like he was thinking about something, but in his heart, he was cursing. Zhang, he was too bad. No matter what he said, he thought that when the time came, the 4 of them would agree with what he said. Then, one of them would go to the boss and let the boss arrange according to what he said. Moreover, the boss would specifically mention that it was his idea, and the 4 of them would agree. Then what would the consequences be? The male boss might still be as honest as before, nodding and agreeing. But the female boss would probably think that he was not clear about his identity. Would he have to listen to the arrangements of a shop assistant? Then, there was a high possibility that he would be driven away. He could not say anything. Second brother, have you thought about it? Zhang Yi urged. Wang Gang twisted his body, which made him look very awkward. Fortunately, the moonlight shone over and they could see his outline. He shook his head and said, If you want me to say, when the time comes, we will just wait for the boss's orders. The boss is very good at judging people. Of course, he will have a foolproof plan. Big brother, why don't you tell me what to do? As for me, I think second brother is right. We will listen to the boss. Go to bed early. We have to get up early tomorrow. We can't delay the boss's business. Sleep, all of you sleep. Zhang, he did not dare to say his thoughts, but he felt that if he did not say something, he would be weak. So, he directly said to sleep. If the other 4 people all fell asleep, it would naturally reflect his status. Zhang Yu quickly echoed, Big brother is right. Sleep. When we are free, I will listen to Big brother and sleep first. After that, he did not say anything. It seemed that he had fallen asleep. It was better for others not to disturb him. The other 3 people had no choice but to adjust their positions. They covered themselves with a blanket that they did not know where the female boss bought from. There was also a blanket with an indescribable smell. They also fell asleep one after another. Whether they could sleep soundly was another matter. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.